because none of these people have ever thought through any of these philosophical quandaries, and they just copy-paste Destiny's point of view. He's such a snake. What was I saying just a minute ago about him being an honest actor? Here's my read on that, okay? He's flitting through this conversation, and he's thinking, you're saying you don't want anything bad to happen to Tom. Didn't you go pretty hard against Tom in the past? Is what he's thinking, okay? Conor asked for a single screenshot of DM interactions from Destiny. This feels very selective now. This feels very, very selective indeed. Then why are you here? What I wanted to see was the Conor and what's it called? The Conor and Jstlk debate that I called into afterwards. But no, I never actually watched the debate. And since people are, basically begging for it, okay? People have basically been crying, being like, oh, when are you going to show the Minecraft gameplay? When are you going to show the Minecraft gameplay? I'm going to play Minecraft while I'm watching this. Hell yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Queen and yourself, Kelly Jean, the A-log community that has spent a substantive amount of time kind of, documenting his behavior recently and in the past.
How could I not just use this to like go after anybody? This is broadly how, Keffels blamed him for his community hate rating him and stuff, right? It was just like, oh, based on some vague allusion to a connection, I'm going to go ahead and say that like whatever we do against you is just.
It's been playing this entire time. It's been in the background this entire time. I didn't even have to load it up, okay? I didn't even have to load it up. No, I've just been like moving things between like different chests, to be honest.
Fine, I can go and report your YouTube, your Twitch, whatever now. It's all justified. So I would say this is very much, hey, you have to stop what you're doing and I will dox you and terrorize you. And
Kevin Melk. Who are you in this server? Quote unquote play Minecraft is AFK in his crafting station. What, have you been spying on me? Well, I'm
justified in doing that because you have talked about me. I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, doxing's pretty bad. Okay, like calling for my death and the death of other people you've attempted to dox, that's also pretty bad. Putting those things together, I don't really know how you get, I felt like more people would kind of be outraged about that, to tell you the truth. It's a little offensive. How's life?
Pretty good. How are you?
Been better, to tell you the truth. Been a little less, I had fewer, calls for my death, at previous points in my life. So, been interesting.
Yeah, how's the doxing, reverse dox?
So this is what, okay, I'm guessing everybody here, for the most part, has probably seen my my debate with Conor. But just for the people who haven't, let me summarize it for you, okay? I had a debate with Conor that was, revolving some of the Destiny doc stuff, okay? Ryle originally brought it on, because he was going to have a debate with Conor, whether it was on my stream or somebody else's. They just wanted to arrange a debate together to talk about it, right? It ended up being a little bit of a 2 versus 1, with me and Ryle kind of like trading places about who was debating Conor. And in the end, he said he was gonna message Destiny because he didn't like what was going on. And at the very end of the debate, I showed him a clip from him about 2 years ago where he's talking about how like doxing is the worst thing anybody could ever do, ever, right? Anybody who, doxes people, it's like the worst thing you could do to another creator. You're just trying to fuck up their life. Like, you should never associate with someone like that, ever, blah, 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 blah. And he basically just said, like, yeah. Damn. But yeah, he said he was going to, like, message Destiny because it's not cool, and yeah. So this is the follow-up debate that he's having with Jstlk about it. Because I think Jstlk said to me afterwards, he was, that, he saw the debate happen and kind of thought, like, I probably should have had that on mine. That was really fun. Anyway, so that's the background to this, okay?
How's that thing going?
I don't know. I guess we'll see if like anything happens. I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, doxing's pretty bad. Okay, like calling for my death and the death of other people you've attempted to dox, that's also pretty bad. Putting those things together, I don't really know how you get. I felt like more people would kind of be outraged about that. To tell you the truth, it's a little offensive.
Well, how many? Just out of curiosity, how many death threats have you gotten?
Me personally, oh, lots of people have done it like through Twitter DMs or Discord or chat or whatever. But it's like it's not. It's like
I don't even know why he asks that. I don't even know why he asks that. Is that not totally like irrelevant and stuff? I don't. Just out of interest. Just out of interest. Is that like a light push to see if Jstlk's gonna say like, oh, actually none?
It's like I don't take it seriously when it's like just anonymous accounts like clearly trying to fuck with you.
Because
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe.
Like if you made that
maybe.
account yesterday and you type a message about like my docs being up somewhere, I'm just like, okay, I don't take you seriously.
What?
I haven't had like a lot of
you,
credible death threats other than from Destiny.
How did you feel about his response where he was saying, you know, basically like, oh yeah, Jstlk. Well, I mean, I don't think he said names, but you know, he said effectively what I took away from it was Jstlk and Queeman play footsie with Kiwi Farms, so it's cute that they're pretending that they give a shit about this when their parts of their communities are schizophrenic doxer.
Yeah, I would just wonder, like, so he blamed me for getting swatted. I don't know when he was swatted, but I know at least one of them was from the Republican, the Trump thing, right? So, like, I couldn't have possibly been responsible for that. I think
it's kind of difficult because obviously, to be completely fair, right? To be completely fair to Destiny, it is genuinely a really difficult position to be in because he has to basically talk about all the times that he had like doxing or harassment or anything like that. But to do that and then to like essentially win the debate, he has to like acknowledge all the times that he's been like swatted, which is kind of like the one thing you do not want to do if you've been like swatted, right? Because you're acknowledging it, you're talking about it, you're giving those people attention. So if I'm being ultra good faith, yeah.
the other one was the Muslim thing, but I'm not 100% sure. So to me, I would wonder why he would bring up doxing or swatting when that has like very little to do with me. I think broadly, I would ask, you know, if I could have asked him a question there in the moment, I would have just said, okay, could you like walk me through your evidence thoughts? Oh, 1 second, hold on.
Confirmation bias donated 5 Jstlk. Can you try to put him on Bill Maher's shoulders?
Sure, I can try to put him on Bill Maher's shoulders. Or I'm putting your head on Bill Maher's shoulders on my stream. So I would just say, like, could you connect some of those dots for me? Because it seems like overall, like, how could I not just use this to like go after anybody? This is broadly how, you know, Keffels blamed him for his community hate rating him and stuff, right? It was just like, oh, based on some vague allusion to a connection, I'm going to go ahead and say that like whatever we do against you is justified. I can go and report your YouTube, your Twitch, whatever now. It's all justified.
If only Conor had the presence of mind and the presence of spine to bring that up in the debate to Destiny.
Right? And he was pretty vehement about arguing against that.
Dude, some of the more recent doxing and swatting stuff was at the hand of ex-groupers. They've openly discussed it on X before they were banned. Tiny said something about Nick, so they doxed Tiny. I haven't seen that, so I obviously I can't speak to that. But yeah, I mean, Destiny's a very divisive figure. To act like his biggest op right now is Jstlk, or his biggest ops are Queeman and Jstlk, is like insane.
That like without solid links and without letting the other person know. Like, for example, he said, oh, there's like a ton of, he does this all the time, and it's just a malicious lie, right? Where he'll say, oh, Jstlk has like people who link my revenge from his Discord server or something like that. No revenge has ever been linked to my server. The Kiwi Farms links are blocked or deleted, like there's, and you get timed out for referencing KF stuff. So like I just don't understand broadly how he is how he makes that claim. Like I guess that rule came in somewhere in the middle, and like it is, mods do have to actively like do something.
Yeah.
He also claimed I actively collaborated with them, but then again, I would just want the proof
no
that
evidence,
he has that shows the links, because like, do you think I could sufficiently be blamed or held responsible, or have people like actually try to?
That is the annoying thing as well with the Destiny stuff. It's just very, very clear that he's not going to show any evidence at all. And I put it personally, I put it fully on Conor for not having asked that simple question of just like, oh, really? Did that happen? Damn. Like where? Or like when? You know? So it's like, it rests on him at the end of the day.
Attack or give consequences to me for things that are like 6 degrees removed from me. Like if it's somebody who like I've once messaged in my Discord, who has once messaged somebody from Kiwi Farms, who has once posted in the thread, who has once like maybe posted a reply to somebody who's doxed someone. I don't know. Can I be? What do you think about that connection? Because it seemed like you were pretty willing to just take that answer, and I was like, oh, I really wish you would have asked for some.
I think when you're having these conversations, right? Like I think when you're having these conversations. Sorry, what's that? Can you hear me? Okay.
Sorry, I was just saying it's tough in the moment. I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not just tough in the moment. It's a question of, what are you trying to achieve, right? So for me, that this conversation was kind of, at least the way that I pitched it to him and the way that I wanted the conversation to go was
about
I'm
Christian
kind
morality.
of interrogating his, moral.
How long do I plan on being live for? Another 3-4 hours, I think. Yeah.
Philosophy, the way he perceives the way that he was acting in 2022 and the way that he's acting now. If I had to be honest, then I would say I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't an articulation of a change, right?
You fucking
He was kind of like, well, back then, I don't even know if he said this. This might be me inferring something that he might not have even said. But he said that, like, well, at the time, I acted based off of my moral system then. So there's no way that I could have like foreseen the consequences of my behavior. Therefore, I wouldn't change anything. Whereas now,
yeah, but to lay that out is to admit in some part guilt. Does he not see that? To say, okay, this is how I've recognized that my moral system was inconsistent with my kind of moral intuitions, and my moral system back then allowed for this egregious wrong that I was committing, and I've changed it since because I recognized that what I did was wrong. He doesn't. He doesn't recognize that what he did was wrong. And so you're asking him for what? Something he can't give. Something he's incapable of giving.
This is me reading into it. I would try to balance my pleasure-seeking behavior more with my like moral obligations, but that's of course like a very non-specific answer, right? Like that.
Yeah,
that doesn't really tell me like what are you copying to that you actually fucked up on versus
nothing. He's complete, dude. What was the reply to Nicholas Diorio where he was like, I haven't apologized for anything, or I haven't admitted I've done anything wrong.
Is what did you change about your perceptions around and
Does Conor know
pleasure-seeking and
anything about
relationships
this?
that's going to prevent this kind of shit happening from the future?
Sure. And I don't know if you put it quite that way. I think that could have been a good way. Maybe you did and I just missed it. Of like, I would expect this to happen again unless you have changed something philosophically. Right?
Yeah. And I don't think, I don't think in the conversation I like pressed him to be like, no, you must tell me what you have changed. Tell me what you have changed now. Like that obviously didn't happen. But that's also
God, I need to temper my dislike for this guy, okay? I need to temper my dislike for this guy. Because he genuinely does rile me up a little bit. He just annoys me. He just really irritates me. And so I do need to chill out with that a little bit, okay? To actually think through what he's saying. But oh my god, he's just. Let me go back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like that obviously didn't happen. But that's also kind of a non-answer is also an answer, right? So
Sure.
if he's avoiding specifically saying what he's changed, then he might not have interrogated his moral system that much since this incident.
You think that's it? You think that's it? He hasn't interrogated his moral system that much. No. He clearly just doesn't care. Is Conor of the genuine belief that when people do things wrong, it's because they're acting out of line with their moral system? People don't think like that. That's not how people think. right? Like, normal humans don't think like that. There's some self-rationalization, or there's some kind of, like, apathy. They don't really care. It's not that... Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Which would be, problematic, because that would basically mean that there isn't much preventing it from happening in the future.
Sure. So I guess there's probably two different directions we could go with. Like,
Harry theorizes that Conor uses ChatGPT through this conversation later on. He appears to stall and type things out and is definitely reading. Are we sure he's not just, like, DMing Destiny?
Like this conversation?
ChatGPT.
I would wonder...
That's low.
I guess,
even for
to me, I'm kind of wondering why
it.
the 2025 behavior wouldn't be more concerning to you than it seems to be. Because I think that is like...
You got dicked. Okay, bro, you're getting too big for your boots.
Nick tipped $5 through Super Chat. Mom, can we get Andrew Wilson? No, sweetie, we have Andrew Wilson at home. The Andrew Wilson we have at home.
Thank you for the 5, Nate. Thank you for the 5. Yeah. Listen. Okay. Oh no, I need to be nice. Okay. I think Conor would even accept that he does not have the debate chops that Andrew Wilson does. Okay. I'll say that. Okay, I'll say that. He's tried at it. He's gone at it for a lot longer. Okay, and he's had a lot less success. Okay. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be welcoming. I'm trying to be open. Yeah, fuck it. Andrew Wilson has had so much success. He's like the #1 debate guy. He's like on the fucking whatever podcast now. He basically co-runs it. He basically co-runs it with Brian at this point. Whereas Conor is like so unsuccessful in the debate space. He's basically made no money off the actual debate content itself. He's rather like made money organizing for a political PAC that supports the Democratic Party as a Republican conservative, and then like working as fucking like private hire like security. Conor's worthless, and he should stick to Warhammer slop. Yeah. Or the legitimate conservative principles of belief in God or knowledge. Yeah. He's probably got all that. No, I think... Wait, Conor doesn't even believe in God, does he? Fuck. I forgot about that. Huh. At least he knows who Edmund Burke is. You know? He's got that going for him.
Actually just...
Also, he's read Jordan Peterson. Clearly. That's probably helpful sometimes.
Sort of like calculated over time. Hey, I'm saying I'm like asking for these guys' docs, and then I'm trying to publish docs that I'm saying are them like a month later. Like it seems like that's like he announces he wants them and to publish them to harass these people, and then he publishes the docs like 3 weeks or a month later that he purports to be the docs, and then he goes on to call for the death of these people, and then he goes on to justify multiple times on his YouTube channel calling for the death of these people. Myself.
Doesn't he just do the thing where he works up a Christian moral system without being Christian? Yes, and he does so with a rule utilitarian framework, not a deontological framework. Very interesting. Very, some would say.
In Queeman specifically.
Yeah, I have to...
I wonder if it's got anything to do with the fact that Destiny is a rule utilitarian. Huh. Anyway, sorry.
Announces he wants them and to publish them to harass these people, and then he publishes the docs like 3 weeks or a month later that he purports to be the docs, and then...
Here, okay? I can't believe people don't talk about this more, okay? I can't believe people don't talk about this more. But this is the way to tell if somebody is a DGGer or ever has been a DGGer, okay? It's the way to spot the DGG DNA. Ask them, okay, for their take on a very niche philosophical problem that maybe Destiny does or used to talk about a lot, okay? If they give Destiny's answer very quickly, the more hits you get, the more likely they are a DGGer, okay? Because none of these people have ever thought through any of these philosophical quandaries, and they just copy-paste Destiny's point of view, because they don't actually know any of the other possible answers. And if Destiny had given a different answer, they would also have a different answer. It's insane the amount of people who are like, yeah, I really love philosophy. I love the way like philosophers think through things. Oh, cool. What are your philosophical opinions? Oh, basically all of Destiny's. You know, have you ever had a Destiny? He's like a great politics streamer. He like talks about philosophy sometimes, and I kind of agree with all of his like philosophy. Like, okay, sure thing.
He goes on to call for the death of these people, and then he goes on calling for the death of these people. Myself and Queeman specifically.
Yeah, I have to think.
Gardening, Rich? Yeah, I agree. But that's what I mean. It's like, okay, during that 5% of your off time, okay? During that 5% of your off time, when you're not like eyes glued to your fucking like phone, like having your soul fucking ripped out of you by like a digital like LCD screen, you know? What do you spend that time doing? I've met people who unironically say walking. So, oh, cool. Like, do you go on like hikes and stuff? No. So, oh, do you have like your favorite routes? It's like, no. Okay, what? So when you say walking, you just mean like every now and again you'll like go for a walk. Like, yeah. Okay. Not really a hobby, is it?
About what I believe is sincere versus what I believe is an excuse, I guess. And what I mean by that, so if I can articulate Steven's arguments as best I can, and you
Film, Jesus Christ. It's not a hobby, it's an interest, okay? Film isn't a hobby, it's an interest.
Steven's arguments as best I can, and you can correct me if you heard something different. So Steven's argument, and I'm not saying it's correct, I'm saying what he said, is that Queeman and yourself, I'm just going to use names because I'm presuming, that he's talking about Queeman and yourself.
Sure.
Queeman, yourself, Kelly Jean, the A-log community that has spent a substantive amount of time kind of, documenting his behavior recently and in the past. That they play fast and loose and cutesy with more nefarious organizations. When he's talking about more nefarious organizations, I'm straight up assuming that he's talking about like Kiwi Farms and Dockspin.
Sure.
And that when you're, when we're having,
I could be wrong, okay? I might have fundamentally misunderstood what Dockspin is. But is it not just like essentially just a paste bin where like people collect doxes? Like, is there actually a community there on Dockspin? I don't believe there is. I could be totally wrong, though. There's forums too, I think. Ah, okay. Maybe there is, and I'm totally retarded. Okay.
having this conversation now where you're like, well, what did I specifically do? In my opinion, he's saying that you're like playing coy and cute because your connections with these communities are more strong than you're letting on. I don't know the truth of that. But now I don't even know if I care to interrogate it.
Wouldn't that be like wouldn't that be the most important thing to interrogate?
Why?
Because it's what it's all predicated on. Like literally, he is giving you an excuse that he can provide no evidence for, and I would just be hesitant to take somebody's word for something when they have just maliciously lied against like about a bunch of people involved in these scenarios, right?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Like can I just give you one example? Like you worked for PV. You saw him publish that Wicked Supreme had an illicit relationship with Pixie when he was her supervisor at PV, right?
Yeah.
So like, I probably, if somebody just is maliciously lying in this scenario, I feel like I would have to.
In my opinion, I don't know how that relationship would be illicit.
That it would have been I guess an age gap of some kind, and then a supervisor and an employee. He was trying to imply that it was weird that like
I don't think
Wicked Supreme was way older, way more power in that scenario.
Just being real, because I was saying earlier, like we have to interrogate, what's real versus what's not. I don't believe him that he's upset about that. I think that what happened was. I think what happened was Wicked Supreme was talking. He wanted something to throw back at him, and then he just picked the closest thing that he could to some kind of, some kind of what do you call it? Impugn, like where you impugn somebody's character. He tried to find the closest thing that he could in order to impugn Wicked Supreme's character, and he just threw it at the wall. Even though I very much doubt he cared about it at all.
So in order to get
that seems yeah, he lied. He lied. I mean, it seems insane. I don't know if they even were dating. I think the ages are true, but in terms of, did he was he her supervisor or something like that? Or I know that some part of this isn't true. I'm not sure if they actually did date, and I don't know if he actually was her supervisor at all. But yeah, it's just kind of rough that Conor's just able to. He bites the bullet, so he's kind of fair, right? They apparently dated before PV. That's what I'm thinking. It's Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just fucking rough. Conor's fair in admitting that that's like, yeah, not not true, but
Get back at Wicked Supreme. He made up a malicious lie about him to try to malign him to his community. And I'm just curious why we would.
What part of it is a lie?
I think that they dated while PV was going on. I think that he's that much older than her. I think that he was ever her supervisor. I think every element of the thing he said was a malicious lie that Erudite and the leader of PV both corroborated and said was a clear malicious lie.
What do you mean the leader of PV and Kyla corroborated that it was a lie?
Kyla posted on Twitter, "This is obviously a lie. This is obviously not true." And then somebody who is high up in PV, I can't remember if it was I can't remember if it was Sam or not. Somebody, I don't think it was Sam. I think it was somebody else. Corroborated that, yeah, this is just a lie. This is.
I mean, because Conor's talking about. I'd be interested to see what his answer is to this, because Conor's talking about how, like, politically effective Destiny is with regards to like canvassing and stuff. But I mean, the organization that Destiny has ties to help like do the canvassing, he essentially then like slanders that organization by making it sound like it's a hotbed for like, I don't know, misogyny, and then kind of like schmoozy kind of office kind of sex and stuff like that, right? It's like, oh my god, these people were like dating like when he was her supervisor, and like obviously, yeah, he's trying to insinuate Weinstein shit. So how effective is he really, right, would be the question. Anyway,
is like not true. He was not her supervisor. Yeah. So every single element, except the fact that they had a relationship in the past, was a malicious lie.
Well, yeah. So I don't want to legalese it. And by legalese it, I just mean like the thing that he's trying to
Conor
point
doesn't
to,
want to legalese
in
it.
my opinion. Well, hold on. Let's see
How
if
do
we
you
can skip ahead
legalese
to,
this
like,
conversation?
We can both agree that he probably doesn't care about a like what do you call that? Like a conflict of interest relationship. He probably doesn't care about that. He probably doesn't care about the age gap. He probably doesn't care about whether or not he was a supervisor, right? All that was happening was one of his friends was talking, or one of his former friends was talking about him. He felt hurt and he was lashing.
Well, I'm pretty sure that he was friends with him until he made that comment. No, I'm pretty sure that he was friends with him until that moment. No, okay,
yeah, right.
Yeah, the talking by the way, was saying like, oh, I used to watch Bill Cosby, then I watched Louis C.K., and then I found Destiny.
Yeah.
What am I doing to these people? That's like the talking that he decided to make this malicious lie up that involved one of his victims.
Okay.
One of the people he, I guess.
Right. So again, like that's kind of the thing where, well, actually, this is kind of what I was going to get at is, I don't know if you're expecting me. I don't think I will be defending him. I think I'll just be, kind of like, articulating what I understand under the situation as best I can.
Sure. So I guess what I would expect is probably some demonstration, or basically just saying that you have figured out that you actually don't hold the values you'd previously stated. So previously you'd said you totally distanced yourself from somebody who had done doxing or anything like adjacent to doxing, because that's like probably the worst thing you can do, right? And that Mr. Girl Erudite convo that happened, I think 2-3 years ago. And then I think you said in a conversation with Lav and Queeman around the time this started that you would need to see contrition on Destiny's part before collaborating with him again. I would wonder where the contrition is that you wanted to see or that you needed to see.
I think he's thrown out of the window now.
Basically, why, when you said doxing was like that bad before, we're like basically saying, okay, well, he can't really prove this, and he has maliciously lied about a bunch of people to try to harm them. That now we're like, well, we don't really need to interrogate the reasoning for why he's doxing and calling for the death of people.
Yeah, so hold on. If I'm trying to summarize, it's like, am I either a hypocrite or a liar for saying doxing is one of the worst things you could do?
Not hypocrite. Changed your mind. I don't need to load it with hypocrite.
Okay, well, hold on. There was the doxing, and then what was the second one?
Saying, I hope somebody kills these people.
Death threats?
Yeah. then I guess you call it death threats. I try to be more specific because if I ever get like one iota off, he'll try to use that as like a me lying about him or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sure. I'm gonna go back in
Okay,
history
you guys
to
are
the
trying
best
to
of my
bait me
knowledge.
so
Okay?
fucking hard. It's
So
not even fun.
doxing, I think, was brought up in the context of like etiquette, and what was going on at the time was, and I might still feel this way. We'll kind of interrogate this in a second. Like I'm thinking out loud, basically.
That's Dr. Fauci to
So
you.
the reason why I said doxing is one of the worst things you can do as a creator is because I do think it's one of the worst things that you can do, like barring like murder and right. And the reason why I think I articulated in that conversation yesterday is because we're all creators. We're all
The V word is, I'm not sure. I know that YouTube has kind of like laxed a lot of its policies with regards to certain terms that were particularly relevant a few years ago. I don't want to fucking test it though. That's how Aiden, still to this day, has lost his monetization. So I don't want to chance it.
trying to make money. We're all trying to gain an influence and an audience. And so when you dox someone, effectively what you're saying is, I don't give a if people are coming after you in a schizophrenic way in order to try to hurt you. I don't care if people harass you, and I don't care if I'm trying to think of what else. But that's like the main thing, right? Like you're trying to put somebody in fear for their safety because you think they're such a piece of shit. And so normally that's outside of the rules of engagement of the online discourse. Specifically, what was going on at the time, even if it's not relevant, was I was contacted by several people.
I mean, that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people fucking miss when they like discuss death threats, and kind of intimations of like violence, or like, you know, saying, "Oh, I wish that somebody would do this. I think that somebody should do this, right? I would like it if this would happen." Is that like, sure, is it actually going to happen, right? Maybe, yeah, maybe not. But it's like, is that really what we're like worried about in most of these cases? No. Right? I don't think it is. I think the main harm is like even having to worry about that stuff, right? Is the fact that like somebody will have to like think, damn, is this gonna happen? And it's that kind of like worry and anxiety. Having to take like extra precautions to make sure that your kind of like OPSEC and like, you know, kind of location and personal information is all safe, right? Still streaming at 2 a.m. That's my stream schedule, mate. Yeah.
In reference to Kevin Castley. I don't know if you remember him, but Kevin Castley had allegedly doxed a few people, and people were saying like, stay away. And I kind of had agreed at the time because I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
Okay.
I still think it's pretty fucked up. And I guess the question, or not the question, but the statement is, right now I have, you know, Steven saying, yeah, I don't care if I dox Jstlk, Queeman, Kelly Jean, and some other people. And then when I ask him about it, he's basically saying that you guys are already doing the same to him. And you're saying that's just not true.
Yeah, it's just not true. He is totally making that up. It is fabricated.
Can we? Okay, I'm putting the kibosh on the V conversation currently occurring in chat. Okay, I'm putting the kibosh on the V conversation currently occurring in chat. Jesus Christ.
Whole cloth. And because it's fabricated whole cloth based on like.
And if I'm hearing you correct, you're also saying that you deny that there's like I don't know, a cross pollination between the drama community, I guess, that like Queeman and yourself have cultivated
in a way that I would be responsible for, that calls for my doxing. Obviously, there could be people who look at Kiwi farms, but like I can't possibly be held responsible for that. If I can be held responsible for that, Destiny absolutely is a fair target for all of these things. I think even you, based on your hanging around with Destiny, being in my Discord, being in Destiny's Discord, it would all apply to you too. Like basically, this is a free. It's a fire sale. Everybody can be doxed and apparently, which is pretty insane. It's not a world I want to live in, but
yeah. I'm trying to think of how I feel about that. And so the reason why I'm taking a second to kind of think about it and feel about it is because on one hand, I do believe you in the sense that you're not doing anything particularly egregious compared to the rest of the space. And therefore...
Compared to the rest of the space? What, compared to what? Compared to Kiwi Farms? Or you saying like compared to Queeman? Like what are anything particularly egregious? I'm struggling to think of egregious shit that like people in and around this space have done, to be honest, right? Over the Destiny situation, I mean, there was literally a pact going around, like, beforehand, between, like, different creators to say, like, okay, we're not going to name Pixie, okay? In, like, you know, all of the conversation about this, let's just keep Pixie's name out of it. Like, you know?
It's kind of crazy to presume that like you should suffer any like additional harm compared to what you normally do. As far as I can see, like 90% of your activities are, effectively. I hate to use this term perhaps incorrectly, but basically like a-logging. Like you basically just document Steven's bad behavior and then hope that he crashes out, so it gives you more content.
So before I guess like Kelly Jean started talking about his girlfriend or something in my Discord, I had mostly moved on.
That's such a retarded fucking dude. Conor would do a lot better if he were to just use the term a-logging and just leave it at that, right? Because then you have to defend like, okay, does the behavior that Jstlk exhibited like reach to the level where you can really call it like a-logging? But he's now bringing into like, bringing into it like a whole motivation, which isn't necessary for a-logging. The motivation isn't necessary at all. I don't know where he's got that from, but he's just made the argument like 10 times harder for himself.
I would say about 80% of my time was on different stuff, like non-Destiny related. And then since then, I've basically just had like a whole bunch of like, it's basically been him talking about it or other people talking about it and like talking about this general thing. And he's just kept escalating. Right? So it has gone back more to Destiny, but that's just based on his actions. Like if he had moved on, like I wouldn't be covering his stuff. I would rather cover other things, right? But unfortunately for me, it's just like, this is good money. This is what people pay me for. So
in your opinion, just out of curiosity, what like re-triggered him?
I was probably Kelly talking about his girlfriend.
Wasn't just out of curiosity, wasn't that like a month ago as well?
Yeah, it was somewhere around this time. Maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I'm not totally sure. But like I had largely like I wasn't covering it very much. I'd like moved on until he started like literally targeting my Discord and saying that like this was a place where revenge porn was getting posted or docs were getting posted, which are both just totally made up, like whole cloth.
Yeah. So let me tell you my.
I think it's retarded. Okay, I'm not going to defend it. But I think when Destiny's talking about like docs is being posted, I think he's literally referring to Kelly Jean referencing what's her face's like OnlyFans. Like that's I'm pretty sure because he never talks in specifics at all. I'm pretty sure that that's what he's referring to. That's the doxing he's worried about.
Version to being like Destiny is a monomaniacal deviant doxer murderer who's
I don't need the hyperbole added, right? I think you could just say like he's doxing people and trying to get them with like or like I calling for their death with no evidence for the reasons that he's doing it. But here's
I don't really want to agree to that because the thing about it is like calling for their death. Do we take like for
dude? Okay, Conor was happy to characterize it as death threats earlier, and now he's quibbling over whether it's calling for their death. I mean, by any reasonable standard, yes. He said, I want somebody to kill this person. I want somebody to kill this person. If that's not calling for somebody's death, I've got no idea what fucking is.
For instance, like when
I don't know what that phrase means.
Xander Hall was losing his shit and he was like, I want to Keffels, what's her address? I wouldn't even shoot.
That was in a private conversation with his moderator or his editor. That's so different. Calling for somebody's death, I'm pretty sure it necessitates it being done in public.
Shooter, I would beat her with a gun. Are we taking that
Sure.
like? We're not taking that one seriously, right?
Did Xander Hall go to multiple YouTube streams after that and justify those statements and say that they were actually good and he was right in doing it?
No, I don't think he necessarily formally apologized either. But
I'm
totally fine with people like kind of crashing out.
It's
but
not just
the
him
repeated
saying
justifications
it,
are the
him
concern.
continuing it afterwards. So
Yes.
in your opinion, has he continued this like recently or afterwards, or was it just in the wake of
justified
getting
it? He just I'm saying sorry. I'm saying he's justifying the death threats and the doxing. He justified it to you. He justified it like onto his stream like the day before, right? So he's not saying, "Oh no, I just kind of got heated for a second." He's saying, "No. Like these people like dox me, f them." Right?
Right.
And there's no proof of the reasons
his argument,
he's giving.
I'm not saying it's accurate. His argument, I'm not saying it's accurate. I think I need time to think about it. He's saying that like this is reciprocal because you and Queen.
Okay, he's such a snake. Okay, to be fair, I've been thinking about this a little bit recently. Especially since I saw him kind of call into to Jstlk, right? And then I came on like afterwards. I've been thinking about this recently. I don't know if he actually is. I don't know if he actually is a snake. I feel like his utter like commitment to like going on these to going into these like, you know, difficult conversations and kind of like being kind of like open and kind of open to scrutiny and open to like having the discussion and to be open to looking stupid, right? Kind of makes me think that, well, no, he's not being snaky and he's not being like crafty and he's not trying to like rhetorically bob and weave. Because if I was him, he's literally having to think this through. He's genuinely having to think this through in real time. Where this is like, what I would think is like, okay, you've thought about this for like 10 minutes off stream, boom, you're ready to go. Like, the conversation is moving faster in terms of the public conversation than he can even catch up with. And somehow, he's still engaging with it. At this point, it's time to fucking disengage, dude. But the very fact that he's still engaging just makes me think that he's like, I don't know, good faith about it. And maybe he's just genuinely kind of like wrestling with his own emotions over all this stuff. Oh, man.
Are doing the same thing effectively.
Yes.
Yeah. So
But,
I think before like making a decision on whether or not you know, whose team or anybody's team really that I'm on, I think I would need to like know whether or not any of that was true.
I think just factually, I think most of the people that have been doxxed around Destiny got doxxed before this stuff was ever leaked, like before like January 20th or whatever when this videos came out.
Is that true?
Like the doxing stuff didn't happen in response to my coverage. The one thing he talked about was somebody on Kiwi Farms threatened tomfoolery. But it's like, I don't know how I could be held responsible for tomfoolery getting threatened. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to Tom. I wouldn't want his docs posted. I wouldn't want anything like that.
Yeah,
I'm being told that the Xanderhall thing was in a
I'm just bringing this up more because it's funny, but like, wasn't there like an entire like arc where you effectively were called like Tom, like a pest or a harasser just to get him to crash out?
No. Oh my god. So, Jstlk is responding to Destiny's claim that he was behind tomfoolery getting doxxed. Or, like, having death threats. And Conor's response to that is, didn't you once call him a sex pest? Come on, man. Yeah, he did, and there was substance to what he said. You can agree or disagree, but he didn't call tomfoolery a sex pest just to fuck with him. Dude.
Yeah, but I literally said that I don't think he's actually done anything. Okay. Like, I literally said to him in the first conversation I ever had with him, and then gave him logs of me saying, like, I don't actually think this. But then he started freaking out about it for some reason.
You know what, man? Like, I hate to be so unsatisfying, but I think I would either need to actually like try to evaluate the validity of Destiny's claims in order to see whether.
What was I saying just a minute ago about him being an honest actor? I think, okay, here's my read on that, okay? He's flitting through this conversation, and he's thinking, you're saying you don't want anything bad to happen to Tom. Didn't you go pretty hard against Tom in the past? Is what he's thinking, okay? I think that's it. He probably wants to, like, put Jstlk on the back foot, because he feels like he's been on the back foot the entire conversation, right? This is obviously a pretty contentious argument that he's having on a pretty contentious topic for him, like, generally, right? He probably feels like his back's against the wall, and so it's just a little bit of a break. Just to like, wait a minute, try and interrogate Jstlk on something. I think that's it. I think that's it. But I think he's retarded and annoying, but he's honest. Okay, he's not. This isn't a dishonest engagement.
They're not like you're saying that
He's a debate
just, like,
pervert like his
bald-faced
master.
lying about this,
Maybe.
or see if there was like
Maybe.
some kind of
Yeah.
evidence of like some people in like Queenman server or your server who are all playing footsie who actually are actively trying to dox his girlfriend.
This is the I don't like this language around like playing footsie. Yo.
Where people around him were getting doxxed. Way before, he actually talks about it in the thing with you, when he talks about Zoe and Jacob. They were doxxed for being around him. When I was still like friendly with him, when he was still coming on my stream. This was all something that happened based on his prior behavior that he is now loading onto me for I don't know what reason.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that narrative, and bear in mind, I did not know about the Zoe situation at all. Wasn't the narrative around that effectively that like there was a bunch of people in Queenman and or your chats who were harassing them for being associated with Steven after it was already revealed that he was a bad guy, quote unquote. And then basically they became like, I don't know, like, minor celebrated figures within the discords once they said like, oh yeah, Steven's like an evil guy and he can eat a piece of shit and we hope he dies.
Oh,
maybe.
What happened? So what he's referring to, okay, what he's, again, I also need like names, but there's one specific situation he's referring to where the person who doxed them, they're like, yeah, we don't care about that guy. And that guy was like, oh yeah, I don't care about them anymore. You're a piece of shit. But like yeah, I think they said like we're good with him.
Are they
or
like
something in the
friendly
Discord
now? Like the person that doxed them and the people that were getting doxed?
I think it was basically like, I like what happened was Zoe came back to the Discord. He also made this up entirely. He's also maliciously lied about like Zoe being the person who like tried to coach Cherry into making her tweet or something. Like he also just totally made that up whole cloth. But Zoe came back to the Discord because Zoe asked when Destiny was sending like videos to her. She said, hey, I only want these if the other person consents. And then he sent them. And then she found out that they didn't consent, right? That's broadly what happened. And she was like, oh, this guy's a total piece of shit. And he made me party.
Wait, is that her narrative? Or have people seen like DMs where she's like, I only want these if the other people consent?
Wait, people have seen DMs of this, yes. I could pull the DMs eventually for you.
They've seen DMs of her saying, I only want these if other people consent?
Yep.
And what date was this? When was this?
This would have been.
Did Conor ask for a single fucking screenshot of DM interactions from Destiny? This feels very selective now. This feels very, very selective indeed. Been
probably like December 2023 to February 2024, maybe going back a little earlier in 2023.
Okay, then I'm gonna macro zoom out. Can you give me a little bit of latitude real quick, and I'm just gonna explain it from my perspective.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I just want to.
If you want to keep going into the drama stuff, we can. I don't care. I'm
fine with me. It's just that I just want to say that a lot of times you guys like he'll say there's a bunch of people who do this. This stuff all happens here, and all I ever want is connect that to me, connect that to Queeman, explain why you're doxing these people. Why wouldn't you just go and try to like dox? I don't know the other people. Why are you doxing? Why are you doxing and calling for my death? And realistically, he always does this. This is one other thing I wanted to add. He always does this really stupid thing where he's like, oh, just because they're smaller, I'm not allowed to talk about it. It's like, no, literally analyze any one of my VODs, Destiny, on your stream and point out where I'm lying. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I have no issue with him actually attacking any of the ideas I've said. Any of the things I've said, I don't have a problem with him attacking them.
Sure.
But like, that's not what he does, right? He doesn't attack them at all. He doesn't actually engage with anything I'm saying. He just goes and like doxes and calls for my death. Very odd. Very odd for a community that apparently is all about talking things out.
Yeah, so this might go a little bit too wide, and if you need to reel me back in, so Steven has presided over Twitch and YouTube politics for probably what is 2025 right now? I don't know, like 8 or 9 years, right? Like I think he made his political switch in 2016, and that's when the debate scene was big. I came in the debate scene in like 19, it kind of died out in 22, 23. And then, we've all been kind of living in the corpse of Twitch and YouTube politics for 2 years now.
Why is Conor now
And
talking
I think
about
that in
the
2020
corpse of
through
YouTube
2023,
politics?
it was actually incredibly like socially and financially lucrative to not just be Destiny's orbiter, but also to be Dylan Burns' orbiter, Prime Kai's orbiter, Vosh's orbiter, right? There was like this really vibrant debate space. And so I have nostalgia about that time period, and I have nostalgia about Destiny. I have some nostalgia about Vosh, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I'm still very
You
friendly
got
with Dylan, and I'm
dicked.
still very friendly
Okay.
but the truth is the scene is kind of like dead, right? And so there's not much of a clout boost to be gained by like sweeping for Destiny and his misdeeds.
Okay.
But there is maybe like a utility because Twitch and YouTube politics does have a few 100,000 young, dispossessed, angry, politically motivated people. There is a utility to trying to get those people to either do something with their lives or volunteer or whatever. And so the utility for me is not in like, I need Destiny's like quote unquote like money or clout. The utility for me is whether or not we try to get a few hundred of these tens of thousands of souls to actually go do some real shit. And it seems like Steven is the only person who's done that so far. And so, let's use the midterms as an example. Okay. Coming up in the midterms, there's going to be Hassan.
We could cut to the end of this. I don't need to hear. We've all heard this.
yes, Jstlk. Oh my god, I fucking love it. We can cut to the end of this. Translation: stop talking. Stop talking right now. Please, dear God, stop talking. Oh my god. I need to remember that. I need to remember that because that worked with him. That worked with him. He didn't put up a fight. So we can skip to the end of this.
Exact explanation just breaks down to the Jimmy Savile. Yeah, if he saves 2 kids, he could rent 1, right? Like you're just gonna do the utility.
Yo, dude. I think this is when I start. This is when I start watching. Actually, this is when I started watching the other night. If you don't remember, that was one of the arguments that that I put to him. I was honestly fucking shocked that he actually fucking like bit the bullet on this, and now, yeah, he's never escaping it. I'm pretty sure actually I did the Jimmy Savile part. I did the Jimmy Savile part, I think. But yeah. Wait, did I? I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I added some flavor to it. But it's now Conor. It's now Conor. Man, he'd be happy if Jimmy Savile raped 5 children if he saved 1 from cancer.
Thing. We can go there.
I guess.
Like we could skip to the end of it, right? I get that like you think it's important that you get people engaged, and I get that you don't have a replacement for Destiny, but it's like I'm sitting here and it's like a whole bunch of people
Conor worked himself down to 1 for 1. Yeah, but technically, he brought it up, but then never answered it. Well, never answered it directly, okay?
Morally, they're against doxing. Morally, they're against like encouraging violence online. I think Erudite talked about how she wanted to politically split from Destiny over some of the rhetoric he was doing, right? It's just like I wondered why like essentially nobody.
Oh, I think I heard about that, but that was over the firefighter stuff.
Split from Destiny over some of the rhetoric he was doing, right? It's just like I wondered why like essentially nobody called this guy out when he just called for the death of like multiple creators and then justified calling for the death of those creators repeatedly on his YouTube channel.
You know why?
Like, and how does that not risk?
It was funny.
How does that not risk his project?
Because, hold on, I'll tell you something.
It was funny
because to me it was funny when it happened with BLM with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. I was like based. It was kind of funny with the MAGA thing, where I was like, yeah, if you actually believe that Trump is a fascist piece of shit who's about to destroy this country, then you shouldn't give a shit whether or not one of his supporters gets shot in the face. And I thought that was funny too, just being real.
Okay.
Whether or not like Steven legitimately wants a schizophrenic to murder you guys, I have no idea if that's his true intent. And he's also using like almost like a self-defense reasoning that I don't know whether or not is actually true.
Okay.
You can ask. Why not ask Steven to like provide something? This is so annoying because he's going to be so tentative to actually accept the reasoning that Jstlk's about to give. But then when he had the opportunity to speak to Destiny about it, he just showed infinite credulity. Every step along the way. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to, like, argue with Destiny. If he feels like, I don't know, Destiny's in a... I don't know if he... Here's the difficulty, okay? If he feels like Destiny is in a rough position right now, right? And so he doesn't want to press him too hard. How much, you know, how equally is Jstlk in a rough position? Through no fault of his own. Literally no fault of his own. Right? But he's happy to fucking press him. Literally the innocent party. And he's... For things that only Destiny could show evidence of. Jstlk literally just has to deny it. He has to give arguments for why it's likely not true, and then Conor's still going to ask for evidence to see that, when he never has to see proof of Destiny's thing in the first place. It's insane.
And by the way, this isn't like, oh, we need him. Like, no, I'm not saying that. We don't need him. We don't need him for the midterms. That's not my point at all. The point is, like, I don't know how much I give a about his or the Discord. Like, so in order to verify everything that you need to say, or you just said, I would need to, like, go into Discord and then start trolling through, like, pages of DMs of people who have no
Sure.
lives.
Can I ask you just really quickly? Why did you
Sure.
accept whole cloth that narrative from Destiny without any investigation?
Yeah,
Like, why
I
didn't you ask for him to
have
like
accepted
actually
the narrative? And I don't think I have
Okay.
accepted the narrative, and I don't know if I care to investigate it.
Okay.
Because
So,
like, my work isn't reliant on.
He doesn't care to investigate it. Then why the fuck are you here, honestly? If you don't care to investigate it, you don't care about the fact of the matter, why the fuck are you even here? Frankly. You wretched little fuck. Why are people spending their time to speak to you then? This is Destiny's strongest offender, by the way. This is Destiny's strongest offender, and the best defense he can muster is, I don't care to look into that. Right now, I would rather not. Okay. Why am I so angry? Because I've spoken to the guy, okay? I've spoken to the guy. And now it's like, he's so fucking weaselly and so fucking slippery that he's like, because he tried this with me. Where he's like, oh, I don't really care about this, you know? I don't really care. It's, what did he say? It's like small fry. It's like small fry. It's like, okay. Okay, dude. Just don't engage in the space then, you fucking antisocial little freak. That's it. That's why I'm fucking mad. Ooh. Dude, it's just frustrating.
On Destiny. What I'm going to do over the next year isn't reliant on Destiny.
Okay. All right. Sure. That's fine.
No, but so let me ask you a question. Are you on some level, this is content, right? You're going to.
Okay, he is a snake, okay? He is a snake. Can you send me that? Can you send me that? His wife left him and took the kids, according to a police report that came out today. No way is that true. Is that true? Okay. Okay. Okay, if you send me a link, Lumpy, fair play. But if you don't, I'm gonna be very, very angry with you, okay? Very, very angry.
Conor's a hypocrite. He's a piece of shit, whatever. But
well, I mean, I'm trying to keep the
you,
actual tone of the conversation away from that, right?
But are you? I'm asking you because I'm trying to ask you on a human level. Are you emotionally bothered that there are creators like Destiny? I think you used to be a fan, right? Are
Yep.
you emotionally bothered by the fact that this person who got a lot of charity from the Twitch and YouTube politics space and who you used to be a fan of is coming after you and nobody seems to give a shit? Like, does that bug you emotionally, or is it just like, oh yeah, everybody's a hypocrite and a piece of shit? Like, what's
I
kind
would
of
say the bother, emotionally maybe, is that like nobody actually had principles on any of these things. When everybody soyed the fuck out about Shauna Black and Mike from PA and Gremlo calling for violence against Destiny, when everybody retweeted my tweets saying, hey, it's really shit for you to do this. This is insane, actually, right? I was the only person who believed that. So I spread that message that was bad, but actually I'm a asshole because nobody else gave a shit. Did you retweet those?
I don't know if I retweeted those, but no, but they.
Yeah, we later checked, and yeah, he did.
Like not.
I say we. Jstlk checked.
General harassment and violence doesn't mean that in certain situations, if you think that people deserve it, that makes you hypocritical. I don't think that's true.
Sure, but then you're loading this all into the conditional and saying that you don't want to investigate the conditional. You've actually like moved the entire. You've gotten rid of the only question that exists is whether or not like. And I would just wonder why there's nobody who is like kind of like not even close to Destiny. Why there just aren't a lot of people who like to investigate and figure this out, right?
Well, yeah. So no, that's
and
actually
again, I would just
that's a practical thing. So the practical thing is there's 3 people involved right now. So let's say that I want to investigate this. I want to get to the bottom of this. Okay, there's 3 people involved who would actually have access to the information. One of them would be Queeman. No offense to Queeman, but he's kind of like and I literally think that he lives to piss off people so much that they wish death on him. Like I think that's actually the way that he operates. And so I think that if I asked him, he would probably be honest.
Maybe.
But he also, I don't think he's going to like troll through his own Discord in order to find me logs of every schizophrenic that he's ever had in the Discord to see whether or not one of them went after Destiny or talked about.
No, ask. This is to prove. Sorry, you're asking for evidence to disprove Destiny's assertion. Just ask him for positive evidence.
Going after Destiny. I don't think that he cares that much.
Would that
right?
justify this? If there was a schizo in there who was like attached to Kiwi Farms? Would that like would that justify it?
Let's say, yeah, if there was somebody in the chat that was like, hey, yeah, lol, I just got Destiny's girlfriend's docs, blah, 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 blah. Just posted to KF, lol. And then Queeman was like, hey, bro, we don't post about that shit here. Otherwise, awesome. Yeah, then I would see that. I think that Destiny potentially justified in believing that they were playing footsie in the back end. They just didn't do it on Discord, right?
Oh, so even if Queeman had a policy that like, I'm going to delete that and I'm going to get that person out of my Discord or something, it wouldn't matter. You would just believe that was happening behind the scenes then?
Yes. I think the kicked out of the Discord would be the thing that I would look to see whether or not Queeman legitimately didn't believe in that behavior. Like if he banned him, then I'd be like, okay, he's probably not playing footsie. If he didn't ban him, then I'd be like, maybe he's playing footsie. Right? Doesn't that make sense to some degree?
Sure. Yeah. I would just say broadly, using like the justifications you've used, that like people could, under your framework you've presented here, call for violence against you based on essentially anything. Right? Like
I don't think
and like you would have any moral condemnation because you don't have a moral position on this at all, right?
If they thought it was justified, right?
Yeah, like it's literally the Trump. Trump thought he won the election. Trump.
I mean, he's literally about to go into it.
Thought he won the election, so he was totally justified in trying to take it back because that's what he thought. He had a truly held belief that he won the election, so that was actually he's not morally culpable for that decision to try to take the election back, right?
No, I don't think we're. I don't think we're saying the same thing.
He thought he was justified.
So hold on. So if I don't know if he believes. I don't know if Steven earnestly believes that he's in a self-defense situation and he's acting out of like reciprocal violence. I don't know if he truly believes that, or if there's just people who are critical of him and he's like, yeah, these people, lol, ruin their lives. Who gives a fuck? I'm assuming that you're saying it's the latter, right?
Yeah.
And so my kind of question is, if he were in a like a self-defense style situation, so to speak, then he could be potentially justified. Because if we did find DMs of people from KF, playing footsie in your chat and Queeman's chat, then it would be reciprocal. Now, the easiest way to resolve that, I think, is to ask Steven. But I almost guarantee you that he's in such a sensitive spot that if I'm asking for that, then he's just gonna be like, oh, okay, well, you're a part of him, so f you too. See ya.
So
then that kind
you're
of
basically in the same position as all the victims who are like, yeah, I'd speak up, but actually it might just put me on a target list.
I mean, I don't care if I'm on a target list.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, f it. Why not? Why not? I'll literally just DM him.
And again, I need proof that I was like somehow.
My God, whenever this retard is in a tough fucking spot, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna DM him right now. I'm gonna DM him right now, dude. And then here we are. This is, I guess, where Parry probably thought that he was like looking at ChatGPT.
Aware of this, right? Like, I don't spend very much time on my Discord. I would have to be aware of this.
Okay. Yeah, let me think about how I want to phrase this real quick. I'll try not to leave too much there.
You could just send it after if you want. Like I'll believe you.
I kind of want to send it now just because I don't want to
just
whatever
clear,
level of consistency we can glean from the conversation. I kind of want to do it now. Jstlk and I are on a call. In order for it to be justified, or for your doxing or death to be justified, the what is it? The plain footsie with KF doxspin would need
I don't think I've ever been on Doxspin before, so
sure. We need to be
totally unaware of that site.
Here, but
I think Kiwi Farms, right? There's perfectly like innocent reasons, right? To like go on Kiwi Farms. You don't have to be there for like the sole purpose of basically going through and trying to dox somebody, trying to harass somebody, trying to do like anything nefarious, right? I feel like Doxspin is slightly different, right? So yeah, I doubt that Jstlk ever would have gone on Doxspin, and I feel like if people have, I'd probably look at them kind of like sideways, I go there to see what the chuds like Fuentes are up to. I'm guessing you mean what? I'm guessing you mean Kiwi Farms, yeah. Doxspin's a bit of a malicious place, lol. People would encourage you to grape the poo. Okay.
Any hard evidence.
That's probably a good way of phrasing it, actually.
/ Queeman playing footsie with those.
Uno momento.
Question mark. Okay.
Like the closest thing I could think is basically the guy. Oh, hold on.
Sorry,
I'm just gonna tell you. The closest thing I could think of is maybe he could say that the solo guy originally shopped like the original Lauren leaks in Queeman's Discord.
That's true.
But like I told Destiny about that. Like I gave him a heads up on that, so I don't even know. Like I gave him a heads up before Sunday went live.
And maybe that'll be it. Maybe he'll just say, "Oh yeah, this solo leaked it in their chat," and that'll be all
Queeman
of it. Which would
declined to cover it. Yeah, like Queeman declined to cover it. The guy happened to find Sunday, but like I don't even know. Yeah, Queeman deleted all of them. He declined to cover it. I don't know what more was expected.
Is Destiny even trying to go after Sunday right now, though? Because I don't think it'll be that, right? I don't think it'll be that. No, I don't believe he is. Well, I guess he has tried in the past, for far, far less. He has in the past for far less. Oh no, he did actually. He did. Wasn't there was Jstlk, there was Sunday, and there was Destiny in a call. And I believe it was after the Lauren Southern leaks. And he did. He did. Yeah. Never mind then. I forgot.
Expected there? But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
not anymore. Yeah. Okay? Well, once it's done, it's hard to redox somebody, it's hard to dox somebody again.
A late 30-year-old man who is a gooner who had sex with a bunch of women. The sex was consensual. The video recording was consensual. But then he took those video recordings and he said it without their consent to a bunch of people, right? Then, allegedly, he audio recorded consensual encounters without those people's consent, and then he sent that around, right? That's what happened, as far as I understand.
Sure.
Right now, what's going on is in the wake of those revelations of him engaging in reckless behavior that damaged the public reputation of a bunch of people.
Habitual consent violations. The most accurate way I've heard of saying it. Habitual consent violations. I would say, but they weren't all. So
okay. Yeah, he's basically saying that he doesn't have the time or energy or interest in order to substantiate, and he basically says that if I go into
intentional, not reckless. In terms of it, I think what they're saying, what they're getting at is in terms of it being leaked to the public, that was through recklessness, right? That was through recklessness. Yeah, he sent them deliberately, but he didn't leak them to the public deliberately. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. That an action is so deliberate that the outcome, while not particularly desired, is so foreseeable that it counts as intent to do that action. I understand it. But that's a very particular kind of like legal understanding of what of intentional, right? Yeah, it's which in common parlance just isn't right. Like we don't really use the word in that sense, right? So if Destiny's outright refusing to deliberate on anything, I'm guessing you mean like divulge on anything, right? Yeah, surely Conor will side with Jstlk, right? Here's the thing. Is Conor just like a very loyal person to people that he knows? Or, for example, if Jstlk was to like have a similar controversy, would he just instantly, like turn his back on him? I don't know. Or is it the clout connection? He fucked over Chud? He's still friendly with Chud, I believe. No? Or at least on friendly terms. He fucked over Chud and sided with Vosh. He didn't fuck over Chud. He argued against Chud, to be fair, right? He argued against Chud. He didn't fuck him over. Very different. He's in Chud's chat like every week. Yeah, I mean, they still seem to be like friendly. Yeah.
Your stuff, and then I just search for his name and his girlfriend's name, then I'm just going to find dozens upon dozens of people effectively just pouring over every detail of their lives.
You might find people going over like some details of their lives. I think Kelly was like mad at his girlfriend.
I'm not saying the bridge is still there, okay? I'm not saying that they're like their friendship is in rude health, right? All I'm saying is that Conor would still think of Chud as somebody he's potentially like friendly with, right? That's all my point.
Right? After he had made up a bunch of malicious lies about Kelly, I think Kelly started attacking his girlfriend.
Right-wing Conor agreed with Vosh over Chud on what? Lolly. Apparently, hence the nickname Lolly Conor.
But is that a reason? Again, would that be reason to dox me and then
no
call for
idea.
my death?
And probably not. The thing. So here's my thing though. So I think I accurately summarize the drama, relatively speaking.
I mean,
Jstlk's a fat virgin, so that limits the scandal vectors. Plus, he's banned off YouTube, so like, what platform is this target? Well, Destiny's tried to get him mass reported on Kick, right? Don't forget that, right? That didn't happen too long ago. That happened like, God, like a month ago, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have like some superficial disagreements, right? But it's fine. That's a fine summary.
So in the wake,
I don't think Jessica's
of
ever
that
had a
scenario. we have, because correct me if I'm wrong, you get like what, high hundreds, so like 700s, 800 live viewers, somewhere in there.
Depending on, I haven't gotten 800 in a while. Like yeah, I'm at 550 right now.
Okay,
which I guess is not that
so
bad considering there's a bunch of other people live. But go ahead.
Sure. So you're between 500 and 1,000 live streamer. Queeman is also between 500 and 1,000 live viewers. God bless his soul. Good for him grinding. So there's two communities that Steven is alleging in the wake of this drama have made it effectively their life's mission in order to endlessly talk shit about him and prey on his downfall. Hope he goes to jail. Hope he gets all his money taken away from him. Hope he gets his platform taken away from him, et cetera, et cetera. And so you're saying that but these communities, as far as you understand, are playing within the rules of the internet as you understand them, whereas Steven is violating them in order to come after you and Queen.
The rules of the fucking internet. Do we really need to talk about the rules of the internet when we're talking about somebody doxing somebody else? Is this not just like the most autistic way you've ever heard to talk about anything ever? The rules of the fucking internet. Fucking hell.
So now we have a late 40-year-old man who has indiscretions, and we have two communities of several hundred people who are going after him, and he's going allegedly harder than they are. At what point, that this is going to be a little, dismissive. At what point do I, as an almost 40-year-old man with two children and bills to pay,
relevance? He brings this up all the fucking time. And it's so annoying.
And a different job that focuses on different shit. At what point do I just say you're all repulsive and I just walk away?
When you don't care about the issue anymore.
At any point. I just thought you like literally do streaming. You've had these moral conversations. And you've taken moral positions, right? So it's basically me asking you what's changed in your moral positions, and I don't feel like you've actually given me satisfactory answers on any of that, right?
Sure.
You could just opt for that, but if that was the decision you were going to make, I feel like you wouldn't keep entertaining these conversations.
No, I believe it or not, I entertain these conversations because a lot of people, when I entered Twitch and YouTube politics, whenever I asked for a conversation, they just said yes. And so I try to have a pretty open door policy when it comes to conversations, because oftentimes, like, if you're not willing to have the conversation, it just looks like you're right.
Sure.
And then
you got dicked. Okay,
anyways,
bro, you're getting too big for your boots.
Nate tipped $3 through Super Chat. Reductio ad absurdum.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem. I feel like Conor is being somewhat sincere here. I feel like he probably does feel drained by the conversation, and so he kind of isn't really engaging with it anymore. And so yeah, he is like reducing these arguments to absurdity. But I think it is from a genuine kind of like, what would it be, like fatigue of the conversation. He's probably been thinking about this for like quite a while, right? It's probably like leaving quite a big impact on his day-to-day life, like this conversation. So I kind of, you believe in him so hard. I mean, dude, do I believe in him hard? I don't know. Listen, I hate the guy, okay? I find him really, really frustrating, and I do not like him. Thank you, Lumpy Willie. Yeah, I guess I kind of do, okay? You've defended him. I mean, yeah, listen, I don't like him, okay? I don't like him. I'm just trying to be fair with him. I've defended him to a certain degree. I give him a lot of charity regarding his sincerity. I think that's a baseline of charity, to assume that someone is, like, at least sincere in his arguments, right? I defended him to my Oilers. I'm just trying to give him the best possible interpretation. Shit on him? Okay. Listen, I can do that as much as I want, okay? Here's the thing. Okay? Here's the thing. If you think about it as like competing spaces, right? If you think about it as competing spaces, you've got obviously our space, right? Like me, Weeman, Jstlk, Aiden, right? Very anti-Destiny, a very anti-Destiny space. To the point where Aiden will support Destiny as a joke. He'll support Destiny as a joke. And people will even find that tiresome, okay? People will even find that tiresome. And so Conor is constantly brushing up against these different figures in this space. Or essentially pushing him to disavow Destiny and to distance himself from him. And basically to like cut him off, right? To like stop supporting him in his endeavors and blah 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 blah. Stop defending him. But then what have we like got to offer? He does it and then it's like, okay, cool. We still fucking hate you. We've still said all this like kind of mean shit about you. Right? What kind of buy-in is that? I don't know. I've been thinking about this since this call. Since this call, I've been thinking about this. I don't know. Yeah. I don't care if shit on him. I'm just gonna shit on you every time you act in a contravening manner to your defenses. Because it's funny. You were so smarmy about it earlier. Smarmy? Every time he acts in a contravening manner to my defenses. Every time he acts in a contravening manner to my defenses. Fuck you.
Rising tides help raise all boats, right? So if a lot of people said yes to me,
do I not find a worldview that condones Destiny's actions perverse? Here's the thing, okay? Even Conor doesn't condone Destiny's actions, right? And that's the problem. That's part of the problem I'm describing, where Conor's defense is full-throated, but it's very dismissive at the same time, okay? It's full-throated, but it's very dismissive at the same time. And so he'll argue and argue and argue and argue and argue about why he doesn't need to care, or about why this is small fry, right? He's done it in like several different ways. He minimizes them by calling him bananas. Destiny, yeah. And he can walk away from it. He referred to the doxing as bananas to you, yeah. But, yeah, he just pretends to be an absolute drooling dumb retard. Is that any better? I don't know if it is better. I don't know if it is better. I think with what you know about him, the charities is unearned. I mean, I've known of Conor for like years and years and years, right? I've known of Conor for years and years and years. So, is it unearned? Conor's just been consistently like this for ages. He's been like frustrating and like very obstinate. But am I being too charitable just to assume that he's at least not like outwardly lying? You might think he's coping, right? And these are cope arguments, but at least give him the charity to think that like he probably genuinely, sincerely means it in that moment, right?
They helped me with my YouTube career. They helped me with my stream. If somebody asks me for a conversation, I want to say yes. So this question, or let me answer your first question, and then maybe we can move to the second question if there is a second question. I think I took a note on it earlier. You asked me what's the difference between doxing is one of the worst things you can do. I still think doxing is one of the worst things you can do. One of the parties is claiming self-defense, and I'm not sure if I believe them, and I think I need to think about it. Then
Okay.
I think the second thing is the death threats. I do think it actually is super fucked up for him to be like, I would kill them myself. I would choke them out if I could. It is kind of like a Xander Hall moment.
That's like embarrassing. Sorry, that's embarrassing. I would say the combination of them, and not saying, well, he said both. I'd choke them out if I could, and I really want somebody to go kill these people, right? I really want somebody to kill these guys. So I'd say the combination
then-
of trying to like doing his best to post identities and calling for the death, I think that combination is from the same person through his own accounts is pretty insane. And like an
Yeah.
escalation that's not really a similar escalation. I don't even think he did that to like Keffels or something. Keffels got his Twitch
Sure.
income taken away.
No.
So
I think it might. I'm trying to think of what's the hardest he's gone against somebody in recent time. I don't know. There was Demon Mama. He said he wouldn't moderate, like hate against her in his community anymore because, she kept on like spurging about how much hate there was in his community. And so he just said like, you know what, I'm doing all this effort to like, defend you, whatever. Fuck it. Right? That's basically it. He got a lot of flack for that. That was a little bit insane, people said. God, I don't even know. That's literally... Was he the one that got Mr. Girl deplatformed? No. I really can't think.
So in reference to that, if I was the person that was on the receiving end of that, I would assume that we talked about like stochastic verbiage for a really long time.
Sam Hyde, Ghost of Kiev. Huh? I don't know what bit you're doing here. What? Listen. I'm trying to think about like other people that he's like gone this hard against. I can't think of anything, to be honest. Yeah, so maybe that's an L.
In Twitch and YouTube politics, if somebody did that to me, I would effectively assume that they were trying to like stochastically inspire one of their schizophrenic community members to
that is
either
what he's doing,
Obviously,
harass
that's what he's
me-
doing, yeah.
Yeah, either harass me, do death threats, or even show up to my place and either try to scare me or actually injure me.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you, just out of curiosity, do you have any of the recent stream clips from him justifying it after the fact?
There's his justification with
DDoS Kid? I'm talking recently. I believe DDoS Kid was almost a decade ago.
you, and then there was one where he's playing Factorio the other day that I don't have off the top of my head. Hold on.
Okay. Is it in a similar?
I do have it off the top of my head. Boom,
Can
it's in the
workers for
presentation.
decades-
Should I click watch stream?
Yeah, click watch stream. Here, let me. I just need to fix up OBS real quick. I won't have it off of him.
Not
Just saw a video where everyone losing their mind that Destiny threatened to kill somebody, because I have like 3 communities on LSF that are obsessively upvote, downvoting all my shit. People are. I think I don't even remember this.
Oh,
Can you
I see
rewind
Bob.
it?
Thank you for
Can
the
you
5
rewind
gift.
5 seconds. Can you rewind 5 seconds?
I'll restart it.
Can workers
Wholesale.
for decades.
Real quick though, I'm just gonna do a show real quick since I've got most of my audience here.
Sure.
Guys, if you like the content, go ahead and throw me a couple subs, throw me a couple bucks. Exclamation point donate in the chat. We'll give you the donation links. Okay. You can go join the Patreon as well. Patreon.com/JSTLK. Any support you give is appreciated and adds time to the stream. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go.
Not
Just saw a video where everyone losing their mind that Destiny threatened to kill somebody, because I have like 3 communities on LSF that are obsessively upvote, downvoting all my shit. People are.
Did he say
I don't
upvote
even
and
remember
downvote?
Upvote, downvote. He's saying that like he's getting AstroTurf downwards on LSF. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listening.
Stalin a slot. Thank you for the 5
this phone
gifted.
call. This was like months ago. But somebody basically asked me. I think Willie Mack asked me something like, "Oh, like how do you feel about
Oh, you messaged him while he was live on anything else. Apparently, he brought it up there too.
these people, whatever?" And I was like, if you're somebody that is actively engaged in a community that is like spam linking, revenge of me, revenge docs of me, docs of
So, revenge of me, docs of me.
Yeah, let me write it down.
Neither of those things have ever been done.
Hold on. So revenge of me, and sorry, I'm writing these down.
Yeah.
Revenge of me, docs of me.
Cyber Drifter, thank you for the 10
Continue.
gifted. Let's go.
in a community that is like spam linking, revenge of me, revenge docs of me, docs of my girlfriend, revenge of my girl. Like if you're doing all this,
So, docs of me, revenge of me, docs of my girlfriend, revenge of my girlfriend. None of those things I believe have ever been linked to my Discord. I think I don't recall it happening, and people have said it didn't happen, but like it wouldn't shock me if somebody got really overzealous and posted like some clip from her my free cams or something. I don't think that would be revenge like work you're selling on the internet necessarily. And Destiny did the same thing to Kelly Jean, posting her OnlyFans content in his DGG chat. So I'm not sure.
Wait, sorry. Say that very last sentence again.
Destiny also posted OnlyFans content from Kelly Jean in his DGG chat.
And that was before she allegedly posted pictures of her hemorrhoid butthole.
I don't know if it was before or after.
Jesus.
And I don't know if she posted that. I don't think she posted that, but she says she didn't. I have no idea. I have not investigated to know for sure.
Okay. So wait, let me
She says she
ask
did.
you the.
So I believe her when she says she did.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So we got allegedly, we got Lav posting pictures of Destiny's as a Discord.
Hemorrhoids. Okay. Okay. This might need to be slightly explained. Okay. So the hemorrhoids thing is in reference to Destiny's current girlfriend, who unfortunately, you know, she pushes when she shits. So yeah. Hemorrhoids. Yeah, but there's I believe there's like OnlyFans content of her that she used to like, you know, make. And yeah, there's very clear that you can see, like, you know.
I'm saying what he said. Platformed Mr. Girl and Lav. Did you platform Mr. Girl? After all this shit broke.
What did Mr. Girl? Wait, why would I be able to get doxxed for Mr. Girl being platformed?
Just because this is like the cabal of people who are preying on Destiny's downfall.
Okay. I platformed Mr. Girl with other people, with Dan and All Relevant in the call, pushing back against what he was saying, by the way.
No, I'm not adding this up to a case where I think it's appropriate. I'm trying to follow the logic chain, so to speak.
I'm just pointing out how the logic chain is.
Sure.
As he
and then effectively, I guess the insinuation is that women in your communities have to be partially made up of people who love perusing and posting to Kiwi farms.
Who love perusing Kiwi farms. So what? So what? Destiny was the one who made a fucking donation to them. Did he not? Did he actually go through with that? Yeah, he uses it. He has an account. Does Jstlk have an account? Does Queeman have an account? He used it for Keffels. Yeah, exactly.
But I also think that's kind of an unfair charge, right? Because if you're a bigger streamer, wouldn't you necessarily have schizophrenics in your chat?
Yeah, well, and my community is built entirely from his community. And my community has like the same, like most active chatters that it's had since I basically first started streaming.
Yeah, so the question is, have you done anything sufficiently to the point, besides being the people who are preying on Steven's downfall, have you done anything sufficiently to the point that warrants doxing or threats of violence?
And I will say, when Kelly posted that stuff in the Discord,
unironically, I do really struggle. I do really struggle to think of something that, you know, I struggle to think of something that one could do to suddenly justify being doxxed or having like a doxing, you know, a search for somebody's dox, or, you know, death threats and stuff. Like, it would have to be very, very fucking far. It would have to be very exotic. Like, I don't know. Yes? I don't know, dude. I genuinely struggle to think of something that would, like, it. We're getting to levels of stuff. Why could that be justified? Why could that be justified instead of going to the police? I mean, that's the thing, right? Because everything that I'm thinking of that would justify it, it's like, okay, well, private citizens shouldn't be dealing with this anyway. This should be going to the police, yeah. Like, it's at the level of stuff where it's like, can you dox somebody in self-defense? I don't think you can. You can do it as revenge, but as self-defense, that's insane.
Lena, Destiny's girlfriend, reached out to me, and based on the stream conversation we had, said thank you for defending me and saying, like, you don't appreciate that, you don't want that around, right? And basically pushing back on anything Kelly was saying and saying it was like crazy. People in the Discord broadly pushed back against Kelly, like attacking his girlfriend as well. The overall tenor of the Discord is, no, we don't do that here. And Destiny
Sure.
knows that for a fact, but he will lie about it.
Yeah, then I mean, I think I can land on, I can understand emotionally how Steven would land on a point where he's like, yeah, f it, f all these people, but I also think that he's just incorrect. Yeah, I'll just say that. I think that he's incorrect to be doxing, obviously for all the reasons that I listed of
Mhm.
why we have the rules that we have
Brave take.
unwritten, but the rules that we have as creators. And then I think he's also wrong to stochastically call for your potential death or
I
queen.
mean, here's the thing, okay? And here's the thing that gives me a little bit of faith in Connor, okay? A little bit of faith as like, okay, that's incredibly condescending to say. But in terms of like why I think, you know what? Say what you will about him. Maybe he's not all bad, okay? There's this and there's that. Every conversation moves him a little bit, okay? He budges a little bit. He concedes a little bit. And it gives me a little bit of charity towards him. Windy, I know this is like your fucking 9/11, okay? I know this is your 9/11, that I'm being nice to Counterpoints. But what do you want me to say, okay? What do you want me to say?
Potential death, because I don't think, insofar as the behaviors that I've observed and know of, all of this feels like part of the game.
Well, I mean, it's maybe it's part of the game. You guys went over the Anna stuff as well. I'd love to go over that with you before we wrap this up. But it's broadly just
Sure.
his pattern. He's going to try to like terrorize the people who have criticisms for him. It's just broadly the pattern that exists, right? It's what he did to Anivor. It's weird because you did the whole Mr. Girl report review, I think. You went through the Anivor section, and then when Destiny said, I didn't do anything like manipulative, it literally says that they were 2 days before he posted her Kiwi Farms thing, and then he goes, well, I didn't do that to like f with her. I did that to like get it out of my community. And then when we go to the DMs, like if you want to stay in this,
Sure.
let's see.
Yeah, he's a little riped on this.
When we go to the DMs, like I'll read you the DMs. It's quite literally like, hey, if you stop this yourself, yeah, up here, okay. So the DMs, Anna says, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? You just outed that Kiwi Farm story about me, dude. You are horrible. He says, I have a media blackout related to your stuff, and I wanted to get everyone... Oh, fuck, I'm covering this up for stream. Well, you guys aren't going to see it. You'll see Connor's face. I have a media blackout related to your stuff, and I wanted everyone to get it out before people were talking about it incessantly over the next 2 weeks as more and more people discovered it. Which is like, okay. You're constant... The second paragraph is where when he says, oh, I didn't do it to like make her stop talking about it, I didn't do it to... You're constantly talking about me on your stream, so I think it's fair for me to bring it up. You went as far to say I was abusive to you the last time you mentioned me. She says, because you threatened to leak my news, you sociopath. You literally ruined my life. You just doxed me on stream. You put me in danger. You're doing it. He says, you're doing it to yourself. You're going to keep doing it to yourself. When you keep talking about me, even if I say something like, I'm going to leak your nudes if you talk about me anymore, you're doing it to yourself, actually. So I would say this is very much, hey, you have to stop what you're doing, and I will dox you and terrorize you, and I'm justified in doing that because you have talked about me.
And sorry, what was the characterization?
Sexting,
His characterization
2 days
of
before
the
this.
event.
Show me any time I've tried to manipulate
was...
a narrative or manipulate somebody into like silence.
Just trying to get Anna to shut the f up. Okay.
We can watch the clip on it if you like. But it's like, name a time show me evidence of my manipulation.
I mean, this is the problem. This is the problem. Well, this is the problem for Destiny, is that Jstlk's like from his community. He knows the law, okay? He knows the law. You can't ask him a question. It's like, name one time that Destiny's ever done this. He absolutely can.
I would
oh
say
my
this
God.
is very manipulative.
Like the oppressor-oppressee dynamic, that because a person might be smaller than me or whatever, I'm not allowed to say anything back. I reject that framework.
And so everybody thinks he's allowed to say something back. He's allowed to look at their statements and then respond to those statements, right? Reveal information that responds to those statements. I would say responding, or they're a smaller creator, so I'm not allowed to do anything back, does mean probably, I mean, doesn't really matter the size of the creator. Probably your response to somebody saying incorrect things about you shouldn't be to dox them or post their dox and amplify their dox, right? Okay.
Entirely. I would say from now on, and I've said this for a while, although my personal life isn't as much in the spotlight anymore, if you want to criticize me for being like manipulative or controlling or some shit, then you need to post examples of that. It's not enough to just say, oh, because Destiny spoke about this on stream, he's abusing his power. That's
So I would say the example of him being abusive here is that he was her 2 days before he posted. He said on stream, "Here's her Kiwi Farms thread," right?
Right. Yeah. So just giving you the read. I'm not saying that you don't have an accurate read. I'm saying that I want to show you my thought process. So the first paragraph, I have a media blackout related to your stuff, and I wanted everyone to get it out before people were talking about it incessantly over the next 2 weeks as more and more people discovered it. That could, like, hypothetically, not hypothetically,
don't do
theoretically, could be the narrative of, I didn't want it on my subreddit. I didn't want it in my community. So I wanted to burn it out in Kiwi Farms instead of having it leak into my community.
Wait, didn't he say earlier in this conversation that that excuse wouldn't work for Queeman and Jstlk? Explicitly. That they won't have it in their community, but they won't disavow it. They won't have it in their community, but he won't disavow it. Yes, he absolutely did.
That's
so.
However,
dude.
Sorry, go ahead.
We both know that's the most thing either of us has ever heard, right? If I went and said, okay, guys,
why you think that's
some new Revenge for Destiny just leaked. I'm gonna direct you guys to it, and I'm gonna give you a link to it because I don't want you talking about it in my community. I want you to go talk about it on the subreddit or on the message board where it is, right? That would be an insane thing to do, no?
So this is where you can call me. I'm gonna explain my logic.
Okay, bro, you're getting too big for your boots.
Nate tipped $3 through Super Chat. Yes, almost like Hess has no principles.
Nate, I'm terrified, okay? I'm terrified that I'm gonna lose your patronage, okay? I'm terrified that if I give any more pro-Conor takes, I'm gonna lose your patronage. Yeah. I mean, oh man. Yeah, I'll say it, okay? I'll say it. He dresses himself in principles that he doesn't have nearly the same commitment to that he claims to, okay? Okay? Give us content, not charity. I did. I pointed out the contradiction, okay? Fuck you, Windy.
Dramas seem to come and go, no matter how bad they are. And the faster they get consumed, the faster they get burnt out.
That is not fucking true. That is not fucking true. Totally retarded. Totally retarded. Especially when he described A-logging earlier. I do remember hearing this. Especially when he described A-logging earlier. Which, you know, not necessary, but somewhat. If you A-log somebody and burn that fire really, really fucking hot, and then they freak the fuck out, and then that gives you more stuff to talk about when you want to then A-log them next. How hot the content is burning then just leads to more and more content. Now, would that work for Destiny? I don't know. Maybe. He seems relatively, like, put together and relatively calm. He's been around the block. He knows how things work. Would that work for Anavar? Absolutely, Anavar would freak the fuck out. She was famous for it. So, yeah, he's totally retarded.
I can almost see the logic of, I want this to burn out, and I want this to burn out away from me. Like, can I just point out as an example, Hunter Avalon had one of the...
Okay, that was all information that was, like, released. It was, like, embarrassing, but it's not, like, personally endangering material, right? Unless you're talking about him ending himself. But I would say that broadly, like, that also propagated through normal channels, right? I don't know. Like, to me,
yeah,
again, the hypothetical I'm giving you is I can't burn out Destiny's new tape leaks or Revenge leaks by saying, here's the link. Don't talk about it anymore, right? That would be, I'm just going to ask you to say that that's, I want you to tell me that that's insane, please.
No, that's crazy pants. Because obviously, even if it's majority in the opposite community, it's going to spread everywhere else. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
And
it's.
Can I ask you?
Well, can you bridge a gap for me? So if they're 2 days before, what happened in those 48 hours for this, like, about face? What was it, like an Anna stream where she's like,
I'm guessing Anna said something. And then he said if she's going to leak any of my details, because I remember this, I'm guessing is if she leaks any of my details, I will I'll leak stuff about him, right? Or sorry, I'll leak stuff about her.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
leak her
leak nudes or
nudes.
some shit.
Yeah, I remember people defending that. I think this is before I got into the community, so a little
Yeah,
sparse
so
on the
let,
details there.
yeah, so let me
Hold
let's
on.
try to macro it. Let's try to macro it a little bit.
Can you hold on to your thought?
I
Because
had
I don't
that
know if I can hold on to
conversation.
mine.
What's that?
Sorry, can you hold on to your thought? Because I don't know if I could hold on to mine. I just want to point out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why would Destiny himself need to burn out anything from Kiwi Farms unless he had Kiwi farmers in his chat who would be following it and looking for the link and posting the link, and then
Which is the sin he's currently accusing you of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So okay, I'm tracking and I'm absorbing and I'm grokking. Okay, I'm processing information. Let's kind of like
You just say
re-summarize just so I can
grokking.
ground myself.
yeah, you want to go
So
back to
I had that conversation with Steven because obviously this drama happened. A lot of people wanted me to take like a really harsh stance really early on. I refused, obviously. And then things have kind of settled a little bit, but they're still simmering in the background because we have the pending lawsuit, etc. The reason why I wanted to have that conversation is because I was genuinely curious what his moral philosophy and system was like in 2022 versus what it was like or what it is now. And while I feel like we discussed the overall, like, I don't know, hedonism, stoicism, the 11 Aristotelian virtues, how he perceives his moral obligations separate from his pleasure seeking.
Okay. Parry will just straight up say that Conor beats on his wife. Parry knows how to dunk on Conor. Okay. This is the problem, and this is partially what I've tried to avoid, okay? This is partially what I've tried to avoid, okay? So for me, that just goes a little bit too far, okay? That goes a little bit too far. Saying that he beats his wife and stuff. He does, though. I know that's a funny meme that everyone likes to, like, joke about. But unfortunately, if you try and give Conor the Tommy C treatment, okay? And you try and do it, like, somewhat earnestly, and that joke starts to permeate through things, it's like... if that starts to, like, permeate through things, it's basically... I don't know. He's never going to engage with the community again, right? And so, there's going to be no chance of him, like, coming over to this side, or having any of the change that we want him to see, right? Which could really genuinely happen. Lumpy Willy, stop saying he actually does, okay? Listen, you've got your free speech. You've got your free speech, okay? I'm not banning it. I'm just saying I don't want to feed into that. Like, feeding into lies about people. What's the lore behind the DV rumor? I think he got angry on a live stream one time, okay? Because this is the problem. People will joke about it. It's like, okay, but really, what's the lore? It's like, I don't know, I just hear it, okay? I've just heard it. The lore behind it, okay, is he got really angry on a live stream one time. He got one guy to fuck by a chatter. And the chatter said, "You get so angry so easily, I bet you beat your wife." That is the lore. That's the history. That's the explanation, okay? So far as I have seen, there is literally nothing else. That is the origin of it, okay? That is the origin of it. That is funny, okay? Because then he spurged really, really hard about that, okay? He spurged really, really hard about that. Did he do it, though? There's no fucking evidence. Does he yell at his wife? Perhaps, okay? Okay, cool. Didn't know if there was an old police report or something. That's the thing. That's the thing, okay? That's the thing that people think. Oh, there's got to be something to that, though. There's got to be something to that. Because there always is in this community. When we joke about stuff, usually there's something to it. But the problem is, like, the lore is like a 5-minute, like, forgettable clip interaction. Where it just ends with the chatter saying, "I bet you beat your wife." Can I prove he doesn't? Shut the fuck up.
We really didn't get, in my opinion, a definitive separation between his previous philosophy and his current philosophy.
Yeah.
And so that's scary, you know, as a friendly associate of his.
False but funny? Okay, false but funny is only funny if I say false but funny, okay? I preempt it to say, this is not true, but it's funny to say. It's funny to say. And so it's set in that context, okay? You have people genuinely believing he beats his wife now, okay? Because that disclaimer is never given. Anyway.
Of whether or not I like him, or regardless of whether or not I work with him in the future, I don't know if he's psychologically capable of contrition. The way that I think normal psychology works is you fuck up, you realize you fucked up, you feel guilty, you feel a little bit of shame, you apologize, you atone, you show that you're contrite, and then regardless of whether or not that person forgives you, you move on. That's like the normal cycle, right? But I think that with Steven's pleasure seeking, I'm just gonna be very honest. I think that with his pleasure-seeking behavior, he might be abusive, but he also attracts either personalities that are attracted to abuse or personalities that they themselves are abusive in certain ways. And so as a result, he always has a justification for why the opposite party is incorrect and wrong and deserving of his wrath. And so he'll always have a narrative of how they...
Yeah, but if you look at him... Yeah, but he might always have an excuse, but is it a justified excuse, is the question, Connor.
They did him wrong and why they deserve the poor treatment that he's meting out to them. Indulge me just one more rant. Part of the reason why I asked about the turn the other cheek Christian philosophy, and I also asked about do unto others as you would like to be done unto you, versus do unto others as they do unto you, is because I think that Stephen
is he saying the women deserve it?
And if he wanted to...
Okay, I'm not doing the charity thing. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know if he's saying that the women deserve it. Or is he just talking about the way that it's perceived among his community? I can't tell. He's getting very, very close to an argument that the women actually deserve it, though. I'm not sure.
End the cycle of abuse, he would go to the former.
Sure. He doesn't operate on the latter either, though. He operates on, like, is it the untouchables? Send one of ours to the hospital, we send one of yours to the morgue. That's, like, the standard he operates on, right? Like, no matter what you do to me. The thing he actually accused and projected onto Kelly Jean, where he was like, oh, you just escalate an insane amount. He just escalates an insane amount, right? Basically always. Like, without any concern for control or how it looks to anybody around him. And then he'll try to justify it because he's built up like a cult-like audience. And just like you said, you actually described this because there's actually a second sphere around Destiny that's not just his audience, but it's like the enjoined like Twitch politics sphere that's all used to the way he makes arguments. Very, very, they'll be listening with an open ear for the way he makes arguments, and they will basically agree with him when he's saying insane things.
Yeah.
And I think that happened to you in this conversation where like he's just like, yeah, like I don't want to get into it, but basically there's some people who are like kind of attached to something that's kind of attached to something that's kind of attached to Kiwi Farms. And so even though Jstlk might not be aware of any of it, and even though Cleveland might not be aware of any of it, yeah, I am gonna dox them and tell people to kill them. And it's like that's an insane sequence of statements to make, and then people kind of just nod and go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, in the claim is do unto others as they are doing to you, but that if you were going to follow that moral system, then of course you would actually have to prove that others are currently doing that to you. And then but this is where
yeah, I hate this bastardization of the golden rule. I hate this bastardization of the golden rule, when actually what you mean is eye for an eye. There's already a perfectly good phrase there, ready to go. There's already a perfectly good biblical phrase there, ready to go. Eye for an eye. But Destiny can't prove that his eye's been actually gouged out by Jstlk or Queeman. And so he's just gouging their eyes out.
It gets to my sympathy and my empathy, right? I sympathize and empathize with people who have been like doxed, harassed, whatever. You know, I've had a few ugly messages. I've had a few people say some nasty things to me. But I haven't had anybody show up to my house. I haven't had anybody swat my house. I haven't had anybody threaten death to my wife or kids. I used to as a law enforcement officer, but I haven't had that as a streamer or a YouTuber. And so I'm actually sympathetic to that part of it. And I also understand that when you're under threat, pretty much everything feels like a threat. And so I don't know if he...
Do we care? Do we actually care about this? Do we actually care about this? Do we care to understand his, like, psychological state? This is the annoying thing. Conor claims not to care about any of this, right? This is all small fry, this is all small things. He's focused on winning the election, he's focused on this, he's focused on that. You know, at what space can he just say, these are all freaks and I don't care about it? But then he spends a lot of time thinking very, very intently about Destiny's mental state. And thinking very, very intently about why Destiny feels the way he does. Very interesting what he selectively cares about. Very interesting what he selectively cares about. Absolute fucking freak.
I don't want to go so far as to say like he's consciously appealing to my empathy and sympathy for the amount of harassment he's endured over the past like year and a half. But I would say that it makes a certain amount of emotional sense. So even if you and Queeman aren't part of the cabal that's attacking him, you are, I don't know, attacking his public reputation and preying on his downfall.
What? So
and
he's an
therefore you're getting
irrational
swept
beast.
into the many people who have been harassing.
Also, what was it? Was Hammurabi rule biblical? I think you mean the Code of Hammurabi, and it wasn't. It predated a lot of Jewish law, but arguably influenced it.
And wrongly or rightly over the past 2 years.
Yeah. But then to me, that's like, I would hope that the people he's close to and or...
Listen, okay, I do want to bring him over to our side, okay? I do want to bring him over to our side. I feel like there is probably room. I keep on remembering this. He does edge ever closer. He edges ever closer. And he always ends these conversations with a cope, like half an hour, where he just lays out quite bare his emotional kind of like process. Or how his emotions are probably influencing a lot of what he's thinking about. Like he admitted in a conversation with me. He admitted in a conversation with me that he'd essentially just been engaging in self-rationalization for why he was still having some kind of association with him. And he's just doing the exact same thing here. Sounds like Schrodinger's retard. There's nothing Schrodinger about it. He's just a fucking retard.
That he like would somewhat care about the opinions of would basically go, that's insane, because that opens all of us. That means everything that's been done to him is also justified, right? Now that he's done this, he has said that it is actually fine. His behavior has put everybody else around him at risk, right? And like now, based on his own justification, not mine, I strictly say over and over and over again, I don't advocate for any collateral damage. That's not my MO. I don't like that. If I have a problem with somebody, I'll go after them, right? But he is now going for it. He's basically got people on Kiwi farms that he's blaming me for their behavior, right? And now I'm collateral damage. He's just greenlit everything on everybody else, and he has no moral leg to stand on. We probably agree on that, right? That if anybody can be connected to him and his system of abuse, he now...
Yeah, unless he was somehow able to substantiate that you were like knowingly playing footsie with the most nefarious parts of Kiwi farms who were actively engaging in swatting and doxing of him and his girlfriend, unless that link was established.
I hate this wording. I hate the wording of playing footsie. I hate that wording so fucking much. Because it's essentially meaningless. Right? It's essentially meaningless. What exactly does it mean to play footsie with Kiwi farms? It can kind of mean whatever you want. It's a very, very fucking flexible definition. Very, very fucking frustrating.
Established, then yeah, I don't... under the moral philosophy of do unto others as they are doing unto you, that's not even correct under that philosophy, which I think is not a great philosophy.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And what I would say is let's just macro it from a moral evaluation standpoint. I think that if he's going to publicly say that he is not only okay, he is encouraging you, Kelly Jean, and Queeman to be doxxed, and he thinks that you're playing cute with nefarious communities, I think that he needs to establish that link, or else it's wrong, like totally wrong, flat wrong. And even then, it's probably not a good thing. It's not morally, it's not the best moral system.
I would just say it has to link to me, and then like I could probably show you logs. I'm sure I could go find it in my mod chat somewhere where we like banned links to KF or any images from KF because it was like, oh, people are starting to post. No, we don't want that. We don't want that like association, right? So it's like,
yeah, and there has to be an application of
reasonability.
You can only reasonably do so much, right? I think that. And he's a creator. He understands that he has schizophrenic parts of his audience. He can't police every single bad thing that DGGers say. So if he understands that he cannot police all of the negative behavior of DGG, then he needs to understand that you and Queeman can't police all of the negative behavior of your respective communities.
He needs to understand that. I think he probably does understand that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about this Kiwi Farms footsie thing. He doesn't care about this Kiwi Farms footsie thing. The only thing he cares about is that they're like vociferously like criticizing him. Who has gone after Destiny more vociferously than Queeman or Jstlk? Maybe President Sunday? Maybe President Sunday? And he got doxxed as well. Chud? No way. Chud has not covered a sixth of the content that Chud has not covered a sixth of the content that Queeman has over Destiny, over this stuff.
Yeah. And I guess then his only leg to stand on that would
Chud's
probably be
thumbnails.
having Kelly Jean on stream while she was
They
talking
did
shit
go
about his
after him
girlfriend.
pretty hard,
again,
but not
she wasn't
not
like
nearly to
doxing
the
her
same
or
degree,
calling for threats
okay?
on her or anything like that. She was
Not
just talking
nearly
that
to the
shit.
same degree.
And broadly, the community as a whole pushed back against her almost entirely, right? So it's like the thing he's talking about is the core of the community is like these Kiwi farmers or doxers. But basically everybody was like, please don't do that.
Yeah. I think I'm landing on solid ground psychologically, even if it took me a while to get there. So what I would say, and by the way, if you want to give me something else mentally, that's totally fine. But what I would say I would advocate publicly is obviously Christian morality, which is turn the other cheek when you can, and also do unto others as you want done unto you. I think that Destiny's philosophy of eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and then some, is obviously not working out. And I would say that it's hurting people. And we've been dealing with 2 or 3 years of the fallout of what he did in 2022. And so I think it's time for the cycle of bullshit to stop. So my recommendation to him would be to stop the bullshit. And if you're
Stop the bullshit. Fucking hell. Listen, okay, Blav. okay. Blav has obviously gone after Destiny a lot fucking harder, okay, than a lot of these people. Blav is also a fucking anonymous fucking KFer, okay, who is currently, I believe they're banned from the Destiny thread. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that they're banned from the Destiny thread for being too spurgy, even for the Destiny thread. Yeah, they're banned from the Destiny thread. We're essentially being, well, I think they were spurging a little bit too much, okay? For blackmail, okay. 2 Kiwi farms for Kiwi farms, okay? 2 Kiwi farms for Kiwi farms. Oh my god. Yeah. He should really hold people to that standard if that's what he believes. There's the whole weird kind of thing within Christian morality about holding non-believers to Christian morality, whether you should or, you know, it's difficult. And so
going to be reciprocal.
To dip back into my charity for a second, okay? Let me put on my smile. Let me just act all nice, okay? To be fair to him, there are workarounds in Christian morality, as if he has a consistent framework of Christian ethics. There we are. Well, it's judge not lest you be judged. Right? Refund my super chats now. Okay, I'm taking it off, okay? I'm taking it off. Jesus Christ. Workarounds in Christian morality saying so. Okay, fair.
If you're going to advocate for violence, if you're going to advocate for doxing, then you need to actually establish the evidence that justifies you morally, or else I think people would have correct cause to doubt.
Yeah, and like realistically, I'm sure he's gonna find people who in my Discord have made like references to things on Kiwi farms, but it's like, where's the what am I supposed to do? Like you'd have to have some reasonability there. I don't know. Like people might do memes. We do the 17-year-old meme, right? That how old was Rose? But like realistically, I talked to Destiny. Solo talked to me as well, and I talked to Destiny about Solo. And Destiny was the one who said, because I actually tried to protect Destiny. I tried to call him. I actually said, I'm not going to put this in text because it's like concerning to me. I tried to call him. He's like, oh, it's about the underage thing, right? And I was like, yeah, this Solo guy who leaked your shit just told me that this girl's 17. Was 17 when you first started getting nudes from her. And he's like, oh yeah, he told me that too. He's like, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. He thought she was 19. Just to be clear, I'm not saying he thought she was 17. But he expressed that like he did an ID check. He joked a lot about her age, right? And he did an ID check. Knew she lived with her parents. There's like a lot of concerning things there. So we meme about that, but that's all from primary sources. That's from like
she
Destiny
lived with her parents. Okay, pardon me.
Himself saying that he didn't know how old she was. He didn't do an ID check. He didn't know much about her. So like
right, and yeah,
she lived with her parents. That's news even to me. No, he didn't do an ID check. He joked about doing one. And then never did. Yeah.
And this is where I would, in a correlative way, I would say that if we were to take the most dry description of this behavior, I would say that in 2022, Destiny's pleasure-seeking behavior was out like insane, and he forsook his moral obligations to the broader community, and then he's saying that he's recalibrated that in the modern era. But
His moral obligations to the wider community. Really? Are those the primary ways that he forsook his moral obligations? To the wider community? What is he? Is he just talking just to talk now? I mean, yeah, he is. He is, to be fair.
But we need to see that evidenced. And I don't think a good way to evidence that is by saying anybody who criticizes not even criticizes my previous behavior, but basically anybody who comes after me for my bad behavior in the past, if you associate with schizophrenics, then I'm going to unleash a schizophrenic mob upon you. I don't know if that's the best way to turn a new leaf.
And I think you'd have to agree that I would be totally justified in trying to go to like YouTube, like trying to email people at YouTube about this, him like justifying death threats against me on a stream, right? I would be totally fine creating like a packet of information for future political collaborations that I could say, hey, just so you know, this is the guy you're engaging with. These are the behaviors he undertakes. I think all of that would be totally fair game, right?
So when it comes to the TOS or whatever, we're all slaves to it. So I get it. I get it.
I didn't say I was going to do those things. I am incredibly anti-flag. Even when he tried to mass flag me for using an F slur about him on stream, when I was describing how he had non-consensually recorded a friend of mine, when I did it one time and he called for mass flagging my channel, I still said, don't do anything in return. It's whatever. We should leave it alone. But now it's gotten to like an insane extent. And I think I would be totally justified. I haven't really thought about it that much, but...
Just out of curiosity, do you think if you emailed him, he would ever talk to you?
Probably.
Probably. You think he would?
I think so.
Have you considered that as a course of option or a course of action?
For what purpose?
No. Why not? I'm not talking about private.
What end?
I was talking about public, but either way, why not?
I don't know why I would want to.
Yeah.
Why would you want to?
What does he have left to threaten me with? How can he, like, I don't need to de-escalate. He's already done everything.
To reach an understanding.
It's not about threats. This is a weird perspective, but it's true. Oftentimes when I'm dealing with people who are being terrible, I'm probably thinking most about my time in law enforcement. I oftentimes tried to give them outs, right? I tried to, reach out to them, mentally, emotionally, socially, whatever, and try to say like, hey man, like you're up in this way, that way, the other way. There's another way that we could do this. Here's the other way that we could do this. Let's talk about it. And sometimes there would be people who would take an out, and then as a result, we would, avoid worse consequences. And then sometimes there are people who just absolutely insisted on doing things the hard way, and as a result, we did things the hard way. And so that's where, for me,
what is the hard way for Jstlk? He says he's not going to do any of that. What? Is he trying to get Jstlk to basically what? Email Destiny and threaten him? We can do this the easy way or the hard way. He's trying to get him to email Destiny and threaten him. Say, if you carry on doing this, I'm going to do this. Escalate. Is he? You know that guy? You know that guy who like keeps on like staring at you from across the bar? You know that guy who keeps on like staring at you from across the bar? I think what you should do, okay, to get him off your back is go down there and just smack him across the face. Yeah. I bet he won't have much to say after that. Believe you me. What the fuck are you talking about, you fucking retard?
If we're effectively summarizing the fact that...
Never mind the fact that that could well be interpreted as fucking, blackmail. Right? Arguably what Jstlk's talking about is, like, tortious interference. Potentially, right? Putting together a pact to then go and, like, disrupt Destiny's business to these political pacts. By showing them, like, this is what he's, like, willing to do. It could be interpreted that way. Dude, I don't know. Could a court see it that way? Could a court see it that way? Not really. Not really, I don't know.
You got dicked. Okay, bro, you're getting too big for your boots.
Nate tipped $5 through Super Chat. Is that an example of the an eye for an eye ethic he was just decrying? Dicker's paragon of principle.
Nate, how much do I have to admit? Thank you for the 5. How much do I have to admit, Nate? I was wrong, okay? I was wrong, okay? I said that he, like, hit his kids. I went one step further, okay? I said he hit his kids. I said he hit his mum, his late mother, so hard. He caved in her skull, okay? Heat caved in her skull. What else do you want me to do? There's no contract between Destiny and the other guys to be interfered with. Political engagement warrants special analysis. Ah, that's fair, actually. No. That's right. Yeah.
Destiny had horrible indiscretions, and then there's a drama fallout between his critics and himself, and he's engaging in ways that, you know, if you wanted to see him turn over a new leaf, he's not engaging in those ways. Saying that to his face could be the difference. So it could be the difference between him turning a new leaf and him not.
Okay. I don't think I'm the person who could do that. Not after he said all that. He would need to make amends, right? In some way.
No.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be able to say, hey, these are all the ways that I think you're up. These are all the ways that I think you're over me over and other people over. Here's everything that you've morally justified, and here's all the—
Does he not just do you not think Destiny knows all that? All the ways you're fucking me over. That time, all those times you've gone on and like issued death threats. What the fuck are you talking about, you cretin?
the things that I think I would be morally justified in doing to you based off of your current behavior. Do you
Oh, so yeah, threaten him.
want to talk about it?
Sure, he can't escalate anymore on me.
That doesn't matter. I'm not talking about escalating.
It does matter to me that he.
I'm almost talking about de-escalating.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying that what
Almost. By which I mean not at all. How the fuck is that de-escalating? How is that de-escalating? How does this de-escalate anything? This isn't de-escalating. That's like somebody pulls out a pistol, and so you pull out like an AR in response. And that technically de-escalates because it's like, you know, you've got the bigger gun. It's fucking retarded.
What reason do I have to de-escalate right now?
Because hopefully he would be, because he's barring new revelations, he's not going anywhere. Like, he will have a community. He will have tens of thousands of live viewers. He will be a portion of Twitch and YouTube.
Will that community ever not hate me?
It doesn't matter. Who cares? They hate me. And I'm like I went in there with kids gloves and they still hate me. Who cares?
Okay. I am not really interested in
Maybe it's because you don't solidly commit to any position ever.
This guy is just acting like a deranged lunatic and endangering all of his stuff. And realistically, with the hurt he's caused to a lot of people around me, I'm like fine with that. If he's going to take shots at me and Queeman and a couple other people, he's done it now. You can't really do anything about it, right? He's done it now.
What about?
I'm
what
like,
about
okay, I actually feel like, what's that?
What about future people?
I don't think he'll ever stop. I don't think he'll ever stop until he's forced to stop, until he sees consequences. And I don't think he's seen major consequences yet.
So you think he's irredeemably down this path and there's no changing course?
No, but I think he is accepting.
I don't know if he can. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will receive it.
He is like years of therapy away from meaningfully changing as a person, right? Like he needs to maybe not. I don't know if stepping away is the right idea, but he needs to basically like admit some wrongdoing and make some like do some acknowledgement that he's lived his life in like a totally incorrect way and that things need to change. But there's been nothing like that, right? You could say,
I don't think his psychology would allow him to do that. I don't think his psychology would allow him to do that. Then I do think if you're just going to say psychology won't allow him to do that, if I take that assertion, which I don't believe, but if I were to take that assertion, then he is actually irredeemable, right? He will keep doing this. So let me
lawsuit loss. That's going to punish him for the Pixie stuff. That's not even going to start to touch the doxing stuff.
Let me explain something, at least as far as I understand it. Okay. So when it comes, I don't know if he's like a diagnosable sociopath or psychopath, but oftentimes with sociopathic people, psychopathic people, they can still judge like moral goods and bads. But they often operate from a sense of self-interest, right?
Okay.
And so when it comes to a sense of self-interest, if you're able to, you know, Stephen, in my opinion, is somebody who values rhetoric, logic, all that kind of stuff. He can be erratic at times, but he does value that, right? And so having someone, one of his most ardent critics, coming to him and logically laying out all of the ways in which he's f***ed up and saying like, hey man, like you're not only hurting everyone else, you're hurting yourself, which he should realize already, but it just might be different having one of his most ardent critics laying out his sins before him. I think that would be an opportunity to say, oh, well, this isn't just hurting everyone else. This is also hurting me.
I don't have any belief that any change of his with no, like, I would never believe that he's changing, right? Like broadly, he's just been able to get away with this and to like threaten other people into stopping covering him, stopping talking about him, stop pursuing whatever they're pursuing against him, right? It's just a consistent pattern over time. I have no particular interest in changing him. Okay. You can do what Melina and Dan tried for years. Sure. Yeah. I just like, Like literally, what have you watched Destiny's content at any point where there isn't somebody in his life? Melina, not so erudite. I'm sure going back to like Yellow Spoon Girl and some other people being like, hey, you can't live like this.
I brought
hey,
it up in that conversation. I remember Melina saying that if you continue to engage with drama.
Who the fuck is Yellow Spoon Girl? I don't know who the fuck that is.
I have no particular interest in changing him.
Okay.
You can do what Melina
That's
and
fine.
Dan tried for years. Sure. Yeah, I just like literally, what have you watched Destiny's content at any point where there isn't somebody in his life? Melina, not so erudite. I'm sure going back to like Yellow Spoon Girl and some other people being like, hey, you can't live like this.
I brought it
hey,
up in that conversation. I remember Melina saying that if you continue to engage with drama content this way, then you're going to lose everyone that's close to you. I remember that quote almost vividly.
Okay.
So no, I'm with you. And I actually this might be a little personal, but I'll just say it anyways because the truth hurts, right? When this drama unfolded, I was talking to my wife about it, and I told her it's like this would be the equivalent of losing. I have a friend named Tony. I love him like a brother, and then I have my wife, obviously.
Okay.
So if I had done something, and I had lost my wife, and I had lost Tony, they said you did something so fucked up that we can't be around you, then I wouldn't be looking for anyone to blame but myself because they're such fundamentally good people that I would know that I had fucked up. Right. So if you're losing the people who are most important to you in your life, then that's not an evaluation of all of their sins. That should be an evaluation of your sins.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah. Is Destiny gonna see things that way? Is he gonna self-reflect and realize what he's done? Okay, here's the thing. Okay. I believe Conor when he says that about himself. I believe Conor when he says that about himself, right? Because I think Conor has respect for other people and other people's like insights that he doesn't have, right? He can accept that like his wife has like moral insights or like intellectual insights that he himself wouldn't, right? Can you think of one person that Destiny would have that for? Because I can't. Somebody who, if he said, you've really fucked up here, you've really done something wrong here, that he would just what? Accept and be like, damn, I really need to rethink some things. He doesn't operate like that. Well, he doesn't operate like a normal, non-neurotic, non-narcissistic human being. Pisco's already gone, dude. Did that still Destiny at all? I don't know.
Irrelevant said something like this around the first day that Dan was like, wait, like, don't you think as a friend you have like a responsibility to stick by your guy? And Irrelevant responded, no, he had a responsibility not to engage in these acts. Like, he's the leader of my political project. He's like one of my friends, or at least I think we're friends, or whatever. Like, we're friendly. And he had a responsibility to, like, at the people around him, to not act like this, to not do these things. And he failed. Like, it's not. So I'm agreeing with you, by the way, just in case that wasn't obvious.
No, that's fine. Yeah, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I'm a masochist, but I'm still gonna be praying. Praying. In fact, actually, like praying for him and hoping that he comes around. So fucking sucks.
Yeah. Well, I think the bigger thing to me is that, like, unfortunately, you could say all this and you're like, yeah, I totally agree with you. He's actually really fucked up, and he is like really with you guys in a totally unfair way. And then it's like, but I am gonna approach him about canvassing. It's like a million voter contacts or whatever it was. I'm like
1.6 million voter contacts.
It's like 1.6 million voters.
Ooh, very sensitive on the numbers, aren't we? Very sensitive on the numbers. He talks about this even when he's debating with Destiny. That's the last thing he said. That's what the last thing he said. It's like, despite what some people might think, we do incredible work at PB. Dude.
Voter contacts. How many voter contacts do you think the equivalent is for people remembering Destiny, calling for that firefighter, or laughing at that firefighter getting killed? Do you think that counts as like negative 100,000?
50,000 votes per death threat. That's my ratio.
Well, I was saying more the.
Yeah. We can add these all together. Don't worry.
Republican thing, because for me, it's like it's not even remotely solved that Destiny is.
Yeah, okay. I don't think many people know. I don't think many people know about the death threats. I don't think many people know about the death threats. the Republican firefighter thing, that went like that went national. I'm pretty sure that was in some like national news. You fucking retard.
He is like a positive for the Democrat Party, even with the canvassing. Like that is not something that people know at all, based on how inflammatory he is, how much of a piece of shit he is, right? How hateable he is to everybody. Everybody who doesn't hate the executive.
Yeah.
He hates.
Well, I hope he's not. You know, we didn't get 1.6 million votes, right? It's 1.6 million voter contacts.
Exactly.
But let's just say I hope that
totally worthless.
Stephen isn't so politically repulsive that he's he's a negative past 1.6 million voter contacts. That'd be quite a lot of damage.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I hope that's not the case. So hold on, let me share something with you though, just because I feel like you're smart enough to appreciate it. So what's happening right now is alternative media. Politicians are trying to figure out how to maybe not control, but control alternative media and turn it into a tool. That's what they're trying to figure out. And so there's a lot of people who have already done this successfully. The problem is that they're some of the biggest pieces of on the internet. And so the question is, how do you get people who, I don't know, actually care about things, like actually care about communities, actually care about the welfare of the United States, actually care about, I don't know, principled things? How do you take the energy and passion that's in alternative media and turn it into something real? And nobody's figured it out yet. And so even if Stephen, let's say he's like a serial killer, right? I'm not saying he is, let's say he is. And in 1 year or 2 years, we were, the Democrats choose to canvass with him. They use him. They get DGG to do 1.6 million more voter turnouts. And then it's revealed that he's like a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's still going to be
you would have had to
lessons
know before, right?
What's that?
Because now you know already about the serial killer thing. It would be we're raising the serial killer up because he's going to get us votes. We're giving this guy power and a ton of a bigger audience, way huger pool of victims, and then we're going to power him because we'll get votes.
Well, for the sake of my hypothetical, I wouldn't know that he was a serial killer until it was revealed, right? So the point is that like we're still going to learn lessons of taking an alternative media figure and then trying to translate that into real world action.
Okay,
even if
bro, you're getting too big for your boots.
Nick tipped $5 through Super Chat. It went international. Respected British journalist and exemplar of right English gentleman everywhere, Piers Morgan grilled him about it.
True. Piers Morgan's journalism on the Iraq War was particularly impressive to my mind. That's actually true. I mean, I think they are based in New York, to be fair. But yeah, Piers Morgan does occasionally weigh in on American issues, but only the most kind of fervent. So to be fair, yeah, it is quite notable actually. It is notable that Piers Morgan actually took note of that. Yeah, that's true. They give it the 5 now.
If that person is a bad person or is later revealed to be a bad.
That did not really. It was kind of awkward as well. If anybody watched that, it just kind of looked awkward when Piers was trying to grill him, because the entire time Destiny just came across as like utterly shameless. I don't know.
A person. And so this is the frontier, and who figures it out first does matter. And right now, some of the worst people on the planet are dominating the sphere. So I care about it. I'm going to work on it. I don't know what that means for Stephen and I's future. I don't know if we're friends. I don't know if we're collaborators. I don't know what the fuck we are, but that's where I'm at.
I just feel like you admitted that this guy's like a fairly bad person who hurts a lot of people and has shown no indication that they'll stop hurting people. And then you followed that up by saying, but I do want to raise his profile. I do want to make him as big as I possibly can because I think it's good for votes. I will just be your pain pig.
Yeah, I care more about votes than I care about homemade leaks, whatever the fuck.
Yes?
Yeah.
Will PvP contacting him?
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Can I ask you, based on all of this, why would Destiny be a better choice than Hassan?
I have a very personal take on this.
It's going to be Muslims.
Because I can't believe that Hassan had I can't believe the normality with which progressives and liberals talk about Hassan, when I've seen Hassan, jokingly, but then not jokingly say that America deserved 9/11. When I've seen him, make excuses for Hezbollah.
But
when I've seen
what if that gets votes though? What if that were to
gets votes?
Getting office? Yeah.
Yeah, my line is jihadist terrorism. That actually is one of the non-negotiables.
Why? So cringe.
Why? I can answer why.
Sure.
So when I was 14, I saw 3,000 people butchered on live television. The home city in which I was born.
Butchered. massacred, maybe, for 9/11. I don't know if butchered works.
In
Wait,
Boston, that was
can I-
bombed by
It's a
jihadists.
super
That,
important
like
question.
5-year-olds.
Oh,
What's
never
that?
mind.
Do you think jihadists watch Hassan in the modern day?
I think that he radicalizes young Americans to sympathize with jihadists.
And what if that prevents fascism
the
from taking
problem.
over America? Why?
What's that?
Why is that? Hold on. Why is that a problem? Do you think most
Why
of
is that a
America,
problem?
even if Hassan got people to be sympathetic, do you think
That is a good point. I mean, I didn't notice this until I actually went back and looked at my debate with Conor again. It's the only time when he actually seems to have like hard lines with any of these things, right? It's the only time when he seems to actually get like morally engaged. Like the moral bit of his brain turns on when he's talking about Hassan and how much he hates Hassan and how like it supports jihadism. Like not quite, okay? Not quite. Are they sympathetic to like jihadist militant groups? Potentially. Potentially. Are they turning American citizens into jihadists though? No. No. In the same way that Destiny might make somebody sympathize for like somebody who tries to, I don't know, or make somebody complacent with the fact that somebody tried to like assassinate the president. He's not turning people into like president assassinators, right? Very musical people, that's right.
Do you think that like most people would be like, oh, 9/11 was like not a big deal, or 9/11-2 is going to be fine?
I'm not sure what you're asking me. Would
I'm
I
just saying that,
apply
like,
the political
$5.
pragmatic?
Antioch shooter cited Destiny. You're not talking about the N-Cell shooter, are you? I know you're not talking about the N-Cell shooter. Yes, Destiny and Hassan Parker.
Can you tell Connor that
Calculus
emoticon
to
power is
Hassan?
typically used as an insult?
I
should
won't,
stick
but you
to smaller
can
words
if you
and
want to.
shorter sentences.
I'm just saying that, like, by your logic, if Hassan was significantly more impactful than Destiny, it's just a util
Starbase.
argument, right? Then why? How is the negative util of him celebrating like 20 guys getting kidnapped, right? Which realistically, celebrating 20 guys getting kidnapped, minimizing some rapes, and what is it? Like, I think the kidnapping thing was disgusting to me. But
Base.
realistically,
Sorry.
it's not really.
No,
like, I
no.
would probably actually have more criticism for Hassan if he doxed a bunch of his critics and then said, I hope somebody rids me of these people. I hope somebody goes and kills these people. I actually would probably have more criticism for that. So I actually don't know how you could say Hassan is worse than Destiny.
It actually is just like a hard line with jihadist terrorism.
Bro.
But here's the
Cyber
thing.
Drifter?
So here's the thing.
Sorry.
Isn't it interesting that you can never get him to, whenever he's making an argument, you know? Oh, sorry, whenever he's defending a moral position, it's always, well, it's a hard line. It's a hard line for me. You know, it's a hard line. Versus whenever you try and, like, argue against his moral position, he's like, yeah, well, you know. When it's convenient, well, then it's like a utilitarian analysis, you know? It's a big, messy world of utilitarian calculus, okay? It's also, I don't know, we might need to bite some hard bullets here. When we talk about Hassan, it's a red line. It's a red line because I saw people get bombed one time. Okay.
This is one of those things that's so repulsive that I really wish that there was like a sensible right wing. It actually sucks that there isn't. But I think I have to already, before the midterms, I have to make my peace already with the fact that people view Hassan differently than I do. And I can't personally swallow the bitter pill that would be like working with Hassan. But there are people that I work with who might work with Hassan. Like he's already talked to, who is it? AOC. He's already talked to Bernie. I think he's already showed up to like Bernie rallies. I think that there's people who were I went to DC.
Here's the thing. And this is what I wanted to bring up to Conor. Because this is why I was kind of interested to get back in a debate with him, right? Because this is what I wanted to bring up. He's like, he's got this assessment about Hassan versus Destiny, you know? And which is better, and who's more politically effective. I think he probably has to own. He probably has to own that Hassan is probably more politically effective. Right? Whatever he thinks about Hassan, who have the Democrats chosen? Who have the Democrats chosen to speak to Bernie, to speak to to AOC, to speak? I mean, he spoke to Ro Khanna, whoever the fuck that is, right? I think Ro Khanna's even in Congress anymore. Destiny can't even get invited to the DNC. He can, but you know what happens when he gets invited to the DNC? He turns it down because there might be interesting stream content that happens during that time, and he doesn't want to be stuck at the DNC if he wants to cover something else. So even when he's given the opportunity to make more inroads with organized politics, he turns it down because it might affect his stream content. There we
And I
are.
went to a meeting. I think I and someone else at the meeting were forwarding the fact that sympathizing with jihadist terrorism was probably a hard line that we shouldn't cross. And I think there were some people who thought, maybe Hassan's social relevance is more important than a little bit of jihadist sympathy. So there were people definitely thinking like you were thinking. I just can't think that way.
Okay. Yeah, I literally, like, it seems like Hassan's the bigger platform, and he does less personally disgusting things, like, to the people around him. Like, Hassan, maybe the worst I've ever seen Hassan act to, like, somebody he's, like, friends with is maybe to Ethan, which, like, that was pretty bad, but, like, he wasn't posting up Ethan's address and saying, like, actually, Ethan deserves to die.
Yeah, to me, Hassan, though, is he's political rat poison because to me, he's the inverse of MAGA. He's everything that I fought against for, I don't know, a half decade before MAGA became relevant. So to me, it's kind of like, well, shouldn't you support anti-MAGA in order to defeat MAGA? And it's like, should I drink rat poison in order to defeat my cancer? There might actually be an argument for rat poison defeating cancer, but, I might still be dead.
But you understand you're just reskinning your argument you made in favor of, well, if he saves 2 children, you can rape 1. Like, this is just a reskinning.
Yeah, I guess I'm a rule utilitarian.
Like, jihadist terrorism is worse than kids.
Actually, well, right? No, he didn't kids, right? He leaked homemade.
No, but you said you couldn't support somebody who elevates or supports or has sympathized with jihadist terrorists, but you could accept somebody who raped 1 kid for every 2 he saved.
Okay, that was absolutely us being hyperbolic on Wow or whatever's podcast, and they were saying like, oh yeah. So that was absolutely hyperbole, where it was like, would you let Jimmy Savile rape 1 kid if it saved?
Here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem. I've helped Ryle, with the speech diarization, kind of, for censoring these VODs, okay? I've helped him. But then look what it does when it hears my name. It's trying to censor swear words, okay? Hear what this censoring software does when it hears my name.
Or whatever's podcast, and they were saying like, oh yeah. So that was absolutely hyperbole, where it was like, would you?
Where who?
They were saying like, oh yeah. So that was absolutely hyperbole, where it was like, would?
It censors my name. It censors my name. I just got little broed by fucking Grok. I got little broed by a fucking data model. I can't believe it.
Would you let Jimmy Savile rape 1 kid if it saved 50,000 kids from cancer? And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna bite the bullet because this is a raw hypothetical. Like,
yeah, but didn't you bring the bullet down? Didn't you bring the number down to like?
He did.
What's that?
I thought you brought the number down to like 10.
He did.
10 kids saved to 1.
Well, like.
Well. Actually, just as we're about to call him good faith, okay? Let's roll it back. He brought it down to then ask me the question in return. I tried about 3 times to answer it. I tried about 3 times to answer the question. Cut me off every time. And then I said to him, I was like, okay, I've answered it. How about you? He's like, yeah, I'd have to bite that bullet.
But and bear in mind we're being hyperbolic. Oh, God, we always have to do the.
It's a joke. Yeah, sorry. I do know you're trying to get your. I understand that. If you ever want to, let me say for it. If you ever want to come on again. Yeah.
Now I have to explain that like a child who get like or whatever, they're still alive, so it's not as bad as jihadist terrorism. Like I have to explain like the differences between the two. Like no, I think it's sufficient to say that like we all have to do a calculus between the evils that we will tolerate in the world in order to prevent additional evils. We all have.
Can I just say? Sometimes I get annoyed. I often get triggered. I love this job. Oh my god, I burrowed myself so far into this guy's mind. He's like, do I have to explain the difference between child right and jihadist terrorism?
calculation, and I don't think I've settled on how allegedly evil Steven is and how much I shouldn't be around him because he's unrepentant. I don't think I've decided that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like pushing you in a direction. I'm mostly just working off of the principles you stated, right? That you needed contrition, you needed you said you would always distance yourself.
I've given
from,
up
like,
on contrition.
doxer, right?
I'm just going to tell you, I've given up on contrition. I don't think he's capable of it.
Yeah, sure.
It's like asking a dog to ride a unicycle. It's only going to happen every so often.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll check my document really quick. Did you want to take? Some people asked to call in. Did you want to take any call-ins from people?
Not really. It's kind of late and I got shit to do. But
all right.
You know, just for the people who want to call in, just DM me on Twitter or Discord, and if you're not then maybe I'll talk to you.
I will say that specifically. And so if it was,
who asked? Who asked specifically?
All right.
You know, just for the people who want to call in, just DM me on Twitter or Discord, and if you're not then maybe I'll talk to you.
I will say that specifically. And so if it was, would you make any exception?
Or
were you,
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
No offense, but I don't want to talk about the Jimmy Savile ratio to kids to preventing cancer analogy again.
Okay. Let's see here. I wrote down like a couple things. One was just Destiny consistently mutters the water on what action he's responding to hide the fact. Responding to
4 times in a row. 4 times in a row, my name was said there. And 4 times in a row, it was fucking bleeped out by Ryle's fucking AI censoring. Oh my god, dude. 4 times in a row, man. This is bullshit. I'm trying to get my name out there.
Tie the fact that he is not directing his anger to the right place whatsoever. So that's just like when he says there's lots of people on Jstlk's Discord who do this. He never is specific, and then if he is specific, it's like not something that ties to me, except in the one case of Kelly Jean, where then if you're arguing about broad character of the Discord where everybody pushes back and I'm pushing back, and people have said, oh, it's good that you push back. Like, I feel like that's not the same. But
yeah, in order for me to take that seriously, the Kelly Jean Association or whatever, then he wouldn't have to disavow his 2022 content, but he would need to say going forward why he's not doing it and how he recognizes it's bad. So just as an example, I think a billion orbiters came to him in 2022 and they said, listen, like Lav's entertaining, but she's terrible for XYZ ABC reason, and she's actually kind of like destroying the social network. And then people said the same thing about Max, and Destiny said, I don't care, it's fire content, who gives a f-, right? Yeah, and so if he's gonna criticize you for having Kelly Jean on for saying wild, then he needs to say basically, well, since 2022, I realized that I hurt a lot of people despite producing fire content, and therefore I think I have a moral responsibility in who I platform. That way I don't hurt additional people. Now, the problem with that is it's hard to say that while you're also saying these people should be doxxed, and so, but he would have to say that in order for me to care about that criticism.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, did you have another bullet point?
I actually do need to check my document one more time. That was at the very bottom, but I think there's some stuff we missed in the middle. I think we broadly hit all of it, I would say. Yeah, I don't need to, like, I understand that you can change. I don't need to sit here and like scream that you're a hypocrite. And I feel like I didn't do that before. I feel like most of my stuff before was arguing on points. I think I broadly, most of the time, it wasn't until he started like threatening docs and stuff that I was like, oh, I stopped saying, well, if you watch him, like, I don't care. If you just think he's funny and a bad person, like, I don't really care. That's your prerogative. And now that he's like, doing the doxing and threatening to saying like you should kill these people, now I'm like, oh, actually watching him might actually be a moral bad. It might actually be propagating bad into the world.
Well, in this is the maybe I've just become like numb to Twitch and YouTube politics over the past several years. That's probably that might be a problem. I think it is a very strong violation of YouTube creator norms and etiquette. So just as an example, I debated Mike from PA. I think, like 2 or 3 years ago. I think I called him a piece of shit, moron, dumbass, whatever. But we left it out on the field, right? Like we had our debate. We disliked each other viciously. We called each other bad names.
Every time I hear like that censor now, I just like to think he's saying my name.
Names, and then we left. And there was no efforts on my part or anybody that I'm associated with to find his personal information in order to make his life miserable. And as far as I know, there was no effort on his part in order to come after me, even though we're actually ideological enemies. If he had a gun and I had a gun and we were fighting for the future of the country, we might actually legitimately like smoke each other, right? So, but the thing is, we left it out on the field because it's better to have these conversations here than it is to try to ruin each other's personal lives. And so the fact that Steven is openly saying, yes, I want Queeman's personal life, yes, I want Jstlk's personal life ruined, or harassed, he needs to have a goddamn fantastic justification for that, or else he's violating probably one of the biggest social norms in the Twitch and YouTube political space. And I probably...
Referring to it as simply a social norm Referring to it simply as a social norm is so fucking annoying. If he was doxxed, and I just to be clear, I'm entertaining this purely for a hypothetical, okay? I would feel really bad for him if this were to happen. If his address and real legal name was doxed, would he really be complaining about somebody breaking the rules of etiquette in the Twitch and YouTube space? I don't think so. Fucking insane.
Probably should be more alarmed. I think my brain is just like numb and dead at this point.
Well, I also I understand, and that's why I've tried to be a little more calm in this conversation, because this was broadly before this. I think most of the time when I had arguments with people, at least on my platform, I try to be understanding. I know that people will disagree with you if they think you're not right. Even if they know you're right, they'll disagree with you, right? So if I was sitting here screaming that you're a horrible hypocrite, you won't disavow this guy, I think you'd probably not be as receptive.
And here's the thing as well, right? And here's the thing as well. Do people think that Destiny's over? With this stuff? I don't think so, right? Don't think so. He's tried, and so far he's got some information. Do you think now he's given up on finding more? I doubt it. If he managed to find one of their addresses tomorrow, he would absolutely direct his fans to that in DGG chat. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
I understand, and that's why I've tried to be a little more calm in this conversation, because this was broadly before this. I think most of the time when I had arguments with people, at least on my platform, I try to be understanding. I know that people will disagree with you if they think you're not right. Even if they know you're right, they'll disagree with you, right? So if I was sitting here screaming that you're a horrible hypocrite, you won't disavow this guy, I think you'd probably not be as receptive. So I'm just trying to be a little more calm and cool about it. So I hope
I'll put it under consideration. If anything, I think you gave me more things that I have to think about now, which is a pain in the ass, but I guess it's good for you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on. I heard I obviously watching. I heard your Warhammer channel hit 100K, so you get your little plaque and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So just sharing, even though we were talking about kids in order to save them with cancer. Good news on my front. So I did break 100K on the Warhammer channel. I did get my silver play button. It does bring in a little bit of money. Also, I started streaming full time. So I'm doing that in 2 locations. One of them is my Counterpoints political channel. There, I'll be live from noon to 5 on Tuesday, and then Monday through Friday, all the other days, I'm live on the Valor Media Network. And basically, it's just being transparent. It's there's not really a political direction to it. It's just broadly anti-authoritarian, anti-MAGA, and then it's first responders, veterans, cops, Navy SEALs, all that kind of stuff. They're all starting a bunch of different podcasts and shows on it in order to try to be more positive in the world. And then Valor is allowing me to stream 20 hours a week on their channel and talk smack about alternative media figures.
Okay. Is this you might not be able to answer, is this a part of your political project? You're getting paid by some PAC money, some political?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually an offshoot of Midas.
Okay.
Midas Touch. So
I heard of those guys.
If you're not familiar with Midas Touch, they're the people who paid is it Harry Sisson? Harry Sisson? And I think Dean Withers. They're the guys who kind of pay their bills. Obviously they make money on their own, but they're the people who fund them, which is interesting.
They got 100,000 or 200,000 subs, I think, or 1 or 2 million.
I think they have a few million.
I think they're the most popular channel on YouTube right now. So
So it's an offshoot of Midas Touch. They're giving me a shot. I got 6 months to build something, and then if it's successful and the channels pop in and we got money and we got revenue and we're doing great, then that'll be my job going forward. And then if 6 months it doesn't work, then I'll be reporting back to the wage cage. So we'll see.
Okay.
But say a prayer for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope this goes well for you. Hope the Warhammer stuff continues to go well. I know I had fun the one night me and Relly watched Astartes.
Good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's very fun. It was better with you there though to explain everything that was going on. So
well, if we ever get away from obviously drama, if it bleeds, it leads. But if we ever get away from drama and we need to revisit Warhammer, I'll be happy to be your Warhammer Sherpa.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, sounds good. Yeah. I hope I can have you on again if you want to talk. I'm covering, I think, more politics now. We'll see specifically. It seems to be the easier way to go about filling time when there's not big drama going on. Karen Reed,
you gotta
ask about
diversify
Karen
content.
Reed. Yeah. Also, I might be going into some true crime or legal stuff. I think the legal stuff is trying to do a shtick in LawTube. as somebody without a law degree, I think that would be very funny. Look, I'll
It could be.
predict these cases better than these guys with ChatGPT. I think would broadly be the idea. I don't know if it would work, but
Well, and that's one of the things that I found very interesting. So I was, obviously
me and Jestikal are exactly like that. Okay, I've considered the exact same stuff. I think without even having heard Jstlk say this, I said mostly the exact same. Just look at crimes that happen and try and like read into the law and try and predict what's going on and what the outcome of the case is going to be. I love that content. I love that kind of content. A Canadian and a Brit trying to guess what's going to happen in the outcomes of like American cases. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
See, talking about Sneeko, Andrew Tate, Vosh, Benny Johnson, Noah Sampson, all those people on stream, your numbers can bump up when you're. And by the way, their release schedule is crazy and their thumbnails are crazy. I'll be talking to them about it. Don't worry about it. But the point is that talking politics, military tech, that was I'll also be talking.
by the way, Josiah.
Don't click on it as anywhere.
Don't forget. He needs to leave. He needed to leave quite a while ago. He didn't want to speak to anyone else. He didn't want to take any callers. He's it's a tired night for him. It's a late night. It's a late night. Okay, here we are.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was alright. I was starting to light up a bloodlust at the end when I started hearing him say, "Well, jihadist terrorism is my red line." I'm like, bro, come on. The American 9/11 thing is like not that bad, really. It's like fine. It's just a point about blowback. You are gay if you get upset about that sort of thing. You are just being a yankoid, like a Miramar.
I thought about going into that. Like, do you think about why Hassan says that when it's like the point about Western imperialism fucking up these countries and them having like a blood debt against the US?
Canadian, yeah.
Maybe if people listen to that quote a bit closer, maybe they'd have more criticism for Israel right now on the merits of just their own interests.
Interesting how he brings up 9/11 and Hassan talking about 9/11 for a reason we won't associate with him. But what about Pearl Harbor? He's still like we'll collaborate with what's his face? Is he like going to Japan? What about the USS Liberty? But he's still associated with Destiny while he's defending Israel.
What is the USS Liberty? I've never heard of this before. Queen, you heard of the USS Liberty before?
No, this is some strange, insane stuff. Like this is only. I feel like
should I Google this or something?
Like far right.
No.
Liberty?
This guy's sounds anti-Semitic as actually.
It was an accident, but it was still immoral. Okay, people died. It was an accident.
They accidentally drove up to this boat and then strafed all of the survivors. Very accidentally. I don't actually think that happened. It's just like a random video. I can't remember where we saw that. Maybe it's on. I can't remember where we watched. Somebody said that in a video recently. We watched this weird shit. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that convo? How it was going? How it went?
Dude, that was because I just finished watching the conversation he had with Destiny the other day. He's not changed his position at all. And yeah, he's still getting like talking points from Destiny. It's like I mean,
I would defend Conor. He sat there. He went through the message and he said that he thought Destiny was wrong. So he did. He said Destiny was wrong.
But he's like, has he changed his association with him like at all?
To be determined.
And to be fair, in the debate he had with Destiny, I mean, he didn't even really challenge him on it at all. Like pointing to somebody's like public OnlyFans. I don't know. It's just everything he says is so hyperbolic. The way he describes his own stuff is like like the most minimalist like interpretation you could possibly give, while being like technically maybe like factually correct. And the way he talks about what everyone else is doing is the most hyperbolic stuff. It's like completely dishonest.
Yeah, I think it was just generally like, not when I pointed out the whole Shonda Black thing. Queen gave me that point. Just like I remember everybody around Destiny retweeting. I made like some tweets about that, and I could go look. I could actually probably just go find it on my account and see like all the people who retweeted it, and just look at the ones that are like silent now, and like, oh well, what can you do? He's calling for people's deaths. What can you do? Right. So
did you actually watch that the whole conversation under Destiny?
Even the very end. Very end. Dude, somebody told me about your DM to Conor when I first started watching it.
I was
trolling me.
I was with it. I literally didn't expect him to do it. I was just fucking because he was annoying me that he wasn't arguing back at all. So I was just like, well, you're gay if you don't do this retarded thing. Oh, okay, so you're gay then. That's what I said to him in DMs. Like, you're gay if you don't do this. Like 5 minutes time, I'll see you're gay then. I like literally stopped watching, and then I heard about it later.
This is a reminder, if you ever want Conor to say something to Destiny live while he's in a debate with him, just call him gay. Just call him gay, or he'll do it out of shame. Oh my. Oh, okay. That's the end. It is confusing hearing me, and then I'm not talking. There we are. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not. Okay. That's the end. But hopefully, so you can tell, okay? I've had a very, very slight change of heart since then, okay? I've had a slight change of heart about this Conor fella since then, because I call into it immediately afterwards, and I'm fucking fired up, you know? And I think they slowly kind of convinced me that, you know, here and there, maybe, you know, he's making a little change. There's a little bit of room where he can kind of sway and stuff, but hey.